Good evening. I will reconvene in open session this meeting of the Arlington ISD Board of Trustees on April 3rd, 2025, beginning at 6:39 p.m. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Our board meetings are open to the public, and we welcome everyone and thank you for participating in public education. Although our meetings are open to the public, this is a meeting and we have business to conduct. Disruptions will not be permitted, and anyone who disrupts the meeting or speaks when others are speaking may be asked to leave or be escorted out by security attending the meeting. We do welcome civic input, but insist that we remain respectful and civil. At this time, we'll begin with our pledges this evening. Please join Corey Academy student Sophia Duran in leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, indivisible.
At this time, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. To learn a bit more about the student who led us in pledges tonight, I'll turn it over to our Executive Director of Engagement, Equity, and Access, Aaron Perales.
Thank you, President Chapa. And as you shared, Sophia Duran is a fifth grader from Corey Fine Arts and Dual Language Academy, and she did a great job this evening. Thank you so much for getting us started with the board meeting this evening. I had a chance to chat with Sophia just a little bit ago and learned that she loves to read. And so it's no surprise that her favorite subject is reading in school. And so she also has a hobby of playing soccer. She's a center midfielder. And I got to share with her that I used to be a girls' youth soccer coach, and so I know it's a very important position, kind of the quarterback of the team, and so a lot of talent there, got to be a good leader. She's also a leader on campus by representing her school in the UIL A+ team, and she competes in the area of maps, graphs, and charts category. And I'm glad that you do that because I probably couldn't. So thank you so much for sharing your leadership this evening and sharing the pledges with us. Thank you for all you do at your school and at home.
Thank you, Sophia. The first part of our agenda tonight is recognitions. After our recognitions for this evening, we'll take a short recess for pictures and celebrations in the boardroom and in the lobby, and you're all invited to join us. Our first item is item A performance from the Seguin High School Percussion. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Perales.
All right. So before we announce our presentation, I had such great eye contact with Sophia. I want to make sure that I introduce mom and dad and brother. So Victor Duran is here, and mom Anayeli, and little brother Victor as well. So thank you for supporting Sophia this evening. So for our presentation, fine arts presentation, I'm very excited about this presentation as a percussionist myself. And so let's hear about this great trio plus one, as we'll find out. The Seguin Percussion Studio, under the direction of Nathan Boyer, is made up of 28 percussionists and is a core part of the Seguin Band program. The members of the percussion studio are involved in the marching band, concert bands, jazz band, orchestras and pit orchestra, and percussion ensemble. Today's performance is not by five, as we had planned. We had a couple students that were engaged with some other school activities, so the quintet is now a trio. But their director, Nathan Boyer, in true fashion, as a great teacher, is going to jump in there and accompany them with him. So we're excited about that. They will be performing the piece called Coffee Break by Mark Ford, a piece that showcases the popular fusion of music and theater in percussion literature. On with the show.
Oh, yeah. Break's over.
Thank you, Seguin Percussion. On to our next recognition item, item B. We'll go back to our Mr. Perales for our Student of the Month.
All right, thank you, President Chapa. We're excited to celebrate a fantastic student from Seguin High School. I'd like to introduce his principal, Billy Linson, to the podium to learn a little bit more about Contreras Green.
Dr. Smith, President Chapa, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to recognize our April Student of the Month from Seguin High School. This recognition is awarded to a student who has demonstrated exceptional academic achievement, outstanding character, and a commitment to making a positive impact on our school community. Contreras Green is a senior student who has consistently gone above and beyond in his studies and extracurricular activities. His dedication to learning and helping others exemplifies the core values of our school. Contreras is known for his positive attitude, strong work ethic, and willingness to support his peers. He embodies the spirit of teamwork and collaboration, and he inspires others to strive for excellence. Less than 10 months ago, after recovering from an ACL injury, Contreras is thriving in track. The track meet yesterday, he did an excellent job, and he actually gave up attending the track meet today to come to this board meeting. So his specialty is the open 200 meter, which I can't run in that, no chance, and relay events. In his academic pursuits, he ranks among the top students at Seguin Nation and holds the position of Vice President of our National Honor Society, among other things. While he's not yet chosen a specific college, Texas Tech is currently his leading option. Furthermore, he intends to major in architecture with aspirations of becoming a licensed architect. Congratulations to Contreras on being selected our Arlington ISD Student of the Month. We're proud to have you as a member of Seguin Nation. Contreras Green.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Contreras Emmanuel Green, Jr., School Board President Chapa, Superintendent Dr. Smith, and everyone who is a part of the AISD community, along with the remainder of the board members. It is indeed an honor to stand before you this evening as a recipient of this recognition. First and foremost, I must thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him, I would not have experienced the success I have had. Next, I desire to acknowledge my principal, Mr. Linson, APs, and counselors at Seguin for their unwavering support in my career goals and aspirations. I am thankful for their efforts to ensure I have everything I need to be successful in school and beyond. I would also like to thank my teachers for their work in equipping me with all of the tools necessary to be successful in the classroom and in life. I am appreciative of their willingness to be flexible with the demands of my schedule that require me to miss class at times due to my involvement in football and in track. Additionally, I want to take the time to highlight my coaches and trainers for encouraging and supporting me, especially through my ACL injury. I am thankful for their consistent efforts in making me the best student athlete I can be, and for being understanding when I have had to miss practice for my internship, student council, and National Honor Society events, among others. Last but certainly not least, I must thank my parents, Contreras and Taffeta Green. I greatly admire them for pushing me to consistently do my best and reach my potential. I appreciate how they have always instilled in me the importance of having strong character, setting a proper example for others to follow, and understanding the value of a good education. As a student in AISD, I have had the pleasure of serving my school and community through my membership in the Student Council and as Vice President of the National Honor Society. As an aspiring architect, I have also had the opportunity to take architecture classes as a student in this district and currently have the privilege of being an intern at VLK Architects in Fort Worth. I am looking forward to taking what I have learned from the opportunities I have had in AISD and utilizing it as I pursue a career in architecture. Once again, I want to thank everyone who has supported me along the way, and I am truly grateful to have received this honor. That concludes my speech.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Congratulations on all that you've accomplished. You're certainly a shining example of everything that we would like our students to achieve here in AISD. At this time, we take a customary break here for some pictures and for Dr. Smith and a trustee to present you with a token of our recognition here. And so at this time, I'd ask Dr. Smith and Ms. Fowler to go down.
We are so proud of you. You give AISD a great name, and we know that you will do great things in the future, and we can't wait to hear about it and learn about it. So congratulations.
As a superintendent, this is one of the coolest things I get to do is to recognize our kids, and it's really fun to see your family here supporting you as well. When I hear you speak, I want everybody to hear you speak and represent Arlington ISD. You're a great representation of Seguin High School, but you're a great representation of this school district as well. Parents, thank you for the work that you put in. This young man is truly impressive. The exciting thing is we've had VLK do some work in Arlington in the past, and so we're excited. You take that architecture pathway, you come on back and work at Arlington ISD. Tonight I get to give you this pin. This pin is an important pin here. You can see that trustees are wearing the pin. I wear the pin as well. This is for special people in Arlington ISD, and it's a proud remembrance of this school district, what we've poured into you, but most importantly tonight, what you've poured into us in the effort that you show at Seguin High School on a regular basis. So thank you. We also have a Student of the Month plaque that will be coming to you. Apparently, we had a little miscommunication on that, and that's my bad, okay? But we will have a Student of the Month plaque coming to you as well to celebrate. So thank you for being such a great reminder of why we do our work here at Arlington ISD. Congratulations. Parents, we're going to ask you to come up in just a second.
Great job, Mom and Dad. Great job.
Where do you want us? We good?
Just a little bit. Good. Squish in a little bit.
There you go.
Okay, we'll get Mr. Lemon.
There we go. One, two. All right. Thank you. Congratulations again.
Okay, we have more recognitions tonight. We'll move on to item C, and we'll go back to Mr. Aaron Perales for that as well.
Thank you, President Chapa, and thank you for the opportunity to continue to recognize a community that supports our staff, students, and families every single day. This evening, it is my distinct honor to present the Arlington Athletics Hall of Honor Foundation with our Community Partner Award of Appreciation for their outstanding contributions to our athletics program and the community. The Arlington Athletics Hall of Honor Foundation was established in 2016 with the mission of recognizing and celebrating the achievements of our school community members who have made a profound impact on our athletics program. Since its inception, the foundation has been dedicated to fostering a legacy of support, inspiration, and excellence within our athletic community. The foundation's influence is felt across all levels of our athletic program. Through their efforts, they have continually sought to honor the past, recognize the present, and prepare for the future. It is this dedication and commitment propelling our teams, athletes, and overall program to greater heights. One of their most impactful ways the foundation supports our students is by administering the Eddie Peach Scholarship Program. Every year, they provide scholarships to 6 deserving students, ensuring that the next generation of athletes has the resources they need to thrive both on and off the field. These scholarships are not just financial assistance. They represent a belief in the potential of each recipient and a commitment to their academic and athletic success. To date, the foundation has provided over $60,000 in student scholarships. The foundation's commitment to celebrating excellence culminates each year in their annual banquet, where recipients are honored for their outstanding achievements. This event is a powerful reminder of the strength of our community and the lasting impact of the foundation's support. It's a night where athletes, alumni, and supporters come together to celebrate the contributions of those who have made a difference. The foundation's dedication to supporting our athletes, recognizing community leaders, and creating opportunities for future generations makes them truly deserving of this recognition. We're deeply grateful for all they do, and we look forward to continuing this partnership for years to come. Please join me in celebrating the Arlington Athletics Hall of Honor, and I would like to introduce Board Member Jim Pointer to the podium.
Thank you, Aaron. Well, as you can see by the cane in my hand, I've had a little robotic knee put in the right knee and getting ready to do the left knee in 3 weeks, so trying to get it behind me. Well, Dr. Smith, President Chapa, and the rest of the board, it is such a pleasure to come and appear in front of you because it's been my experience through the years that as cities grow to the size of Arlington and groups that for our generation, we had daily newspapers. We had a lot of community news, and we could all look forward to going out and getting the paper, knowing that the paper in the yard was going to talk about things that happened in our community. Well, sometime between the 70s and 80s, that kind of died on the vine. And yes, we could still order electronic versions of papers from other big cities, and they may give us scores, but they're not going to give us the temperature, the humanity, the feel of a community. And so when your new athletics complex was still in the design stage, Dr. Hill, Kelly, Horn, and lots of other people had enough confidence in us to come out and talk about how we might take advantage of that missing gap of how to award people and honor them, and frankly fill time. If you're in from Abilene and you're here for a basketball game, you got an hour till your next game, you got somewhere to go down to the lobby and really look at what does Arlington's athletic history look like. And that could not have been done without putting these two groups together. And we now host between 600 and 700 people for that banquet. It's I think becomes something the community looks forward to because it's touched a nerve with people about understanding. When you could see, the volleyball teams from the 70s, the early 50s, football team from Arlington High, see those guys and gals who are now my age or older get back together and really get a chance to discuss those things. That's a real small town item happening in a great big city. So congratulations to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pointer, and your group. And I also note Miss Tracy Winkles is here as well, and thank you for all the work that you do. I've attended all of the events, I think, since the very first one, and it really is, you put it really well, that it's a small town feel in a big city, and we have a really rich athletic history, and it is amazing to hear the stories of what people have done in the past every year, and it's a great way to recognize some folks in our community. At this time, we have a recognition for you, and I'll ask Dr. Smith and Mr. Wilbanks to go down and present you with our recognition.
Hold on one second. I'll shake your hand here. I'm going to let you hold those. I'll give you the microphone first.
Thank you guys both for what you do for athletics and promoting that important piece of community in our big city, as you said. I've not made all of them, but like Justin has, but everyone I've been to has been great and a great celebration of the talent that goes back generations, as you said. So keep up the good work, guys. Thank you.
Mr. Will Banks has a couple of pins for you as well. And just as I spoke a minute ago, as you know, these are special pins representing the work of Arlington ISD. We realized that we can't do this work and do the great work that we do on a regular basis without community partners. And we appreciate you all for the work that you put in. I think everybody in this room probably can attest to the fact that a lot of the lessons we learn in high school are on the playing field or on the court. And the importance of athletics and extracurricular activities and celebrating them in a community is a really big deal. So thank you very much for the effort that you have put in to celebrate the great history in Arlington and to continue to help us elevate athletics and extracurriculars as an important part of our community. We appreciate it immensely. Here is your plaque. And again, thank you for being such a great community partner.
This is impromptu, but I think it is worthy of saying. With the Peach Scholarship, I'm not going to name names, but we now have kids who went to Lamar High School, who've now graduated, are successful in their business endeavors, and are now giving back to that scholarship program. So you all are closing the circle by the way you're educating our students and getting them back into remembering where they're from.
Okay, we have one more recognition tonight, item D, and that is our recognition for the Texas Association of School Business Officials Education Ambassador Award. And we're going to give Mr. Perales a break and have Dr. Eric Upchurch come down and present this recognition.
Good evening, President Chapa, members of the board, and Dr. Smith. It's my pleasure. Technology is extremely proud of our very own Kim Domke, who has been recognized by the TASBO Board of Directors as the 2025 TASBO Public Education Ambassador Award recipient. This award recognizes TASBO members who are actively involved in TASBO and are recognized as a leader in public education in their district or region. I also want to mention that Kim is considered by PEIMS departments all across the state as a leader in state processes and technologies used for state reporting. In particular, Kim has led with distinction AISD's migration to the new EdFi standard from the old XML-based reporting. Now, this is a big deal, so this year we had a new standard of reporting, and we would get a lot of, hey, how are we doing? And I wasn't worried because I knew Kim was handling it. And so with that being said, I'd like to have Kim come up and receive recognition from the board.
Well, I wasn't really prepared to speak, but I will just say that I'm very blessed to be part of Arlington ISD and truly blessed by the people that are in that last row back there, my team. We've got Anna and Glenda and Dolores who are all in the PEIMS team, and there is just no way that PEIMS would be where it is without the three of them, or without Kim and Pete, my boss, that's back there as well. So very blessed to be part of the district, very blessed to be part of a great team, and just very thankful for the opportunity to work for Arlington ISD.
Thank you, Ms. Domke. You are a great example of it takes so many people to get every day. There are so many things that have to fall into place for the day to go off successfully, and y'all are here working day in and day out to make sure that that happens behind the scenes, and I'm just so glad that you get some recognition for what you do. And are those custom PEIMS team shirts that you made for tonight? That's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, well, that concludes recognitions for tonight. We are going to take our recess so we can celebrate with our honorees tonight. The time is 7:07, so let's try to be back on the dais by, let's call it 7:20. It's 7:07, we're in recess. right, it is 7:22. We are back from recess. The next portion of our meeting is our open forum for agenda items. As stated on our agenda, members of the public who desire to address the board regarding an item on the agenda are required to register at www.aisd.net/board-meter-speaking-request no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the board meeting. Ms. Crosno, do we have any requesters registered to address the board tonight on agenda items?
President Chapa, we do not.
Okay. Having no speakers on open forum, we'll move on to our committee and staff reports. Our first report tonight is our education partnership with TCC Southeast update. Dr. Smith.
I'd like to invite a good friend of mine up to the podium. Andy and I have become friends over the past year. We both stepped into roles that were honestly held by legends, and we're learning the community and growing together, and I'm honored to have Andy here tonight to present to y'all just an update on the great work happening at TCC.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to join you this evening, President Chapa, Superintendent Smith, members of the board, and to the teachers, staff, administrators, and students of the Arlington ISD. It's a privilege to be here with you this evening. As said, my name is Andy Bound, and I started in July as the president of the Southeast Campus, and I just wanted to give you an update on your community college. In my career over the past 22 years, I've been in community college leadership roles, and we're thrilled, my family and I are thrilled to be here in Arlington. This happens to be the 60th anniversary of Tarrant County College as a district serving Tarrant County. And this year in the fall semester, we served some 48,000 students across the county. I'm going to talk more specifically about the Southeast Campus this evening, but I also wanted to acknowledge one of our colleagues that we share in our trustee, Jeannie DeKine. It's been a privilege to watch her work and her work as a member of our Board of Trustees. But let's jump in with your community college at the Southeast Campus. Our programs here, when I look at kind of our premier or flagship programs, culinary arts, hospitality, nutrition, and dietetics, our IT cybersecurity programming, our engineering is really a pre-engineering transfer track, and then a program that is unique to many community colleges, and that's our first choice program, where we serve adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities with a long-standing program. Our campus this past fall, this was as of census date, so we were between 9,600 and 9,700 students were served on the Southeast Campus. If we look at our relationship and the number of students, about 17%, 16.6% of our shared students are participating in some form of dual credit, whether through our early college partnerships or in more traditional more traditional dual credit programming. Each year, about 18% of the students who graduate from one of your high schools will show up on our campus, and we're thrilled with that. And when you look at that in totality, we average about 30% of students are impacted by our relationship. If we look at the community more broadly, about 64% of the adult population, 25 and older, have some form of higher education, not necessarily having earned a degree, but at least some college. When I look at associate degree plus in the city of Arlington, that's about 38% of the adult population. So again, I think the opportunities that we have together is to continue to grow that. If you look at the workforce development needs, economic development reports, that number of 60% is a number that continues to lay out there ahead of us and is really, really good recognition of the work that we get to do together. If we look at our numbers over the last 3 years, you'll see that our enrollment together has grown. And in fact, if we look at the current year's numbers, we're at about just over 1,900 students being served this year. And as of last year, we had 213 Arlington ISD students
earning a credential by the time they graduated from high school. We love the partnership. We know that one of the things that we're measured by from a state standpoint, our performance funding model, are the number of students who earn, dual credit students who earn 15 credits or more. I'm pleased to say that approximately 52% of our dual credit students from Arlington ISD will earn one form of credential or another before they graduate. We are pleased to be able to have a free tuition partnership with you and other high schools across Tarrant County. Our ability to increase that number of students who are earning a credential by the time they graduate from high school becomes increasingly important as we move forward. If we look at our transfer partnership specifically from the Southeast campus, it's no surprise that UT Arlington is our top school of choice for our students who are transferring. I will tell you, as I've dug into our data at the campus, together with our team and our faculty and staff, there are 3 student populations that we're very committed to digging deeper and deeper into, and those are our transfer-oriented students. Our campus, about 70% of our students are on transfer pathways. Now, that's different than the South Campus or Trinity River or some of our other campuses, but a very heavy transfer emphasis. The other group of students, 62% of our students are part-time students, and I will tell you, almost nobody, nobody's too strong. Almost nobody has figured out how to excel in serving part-time students at scale. We figured out groups of students, but doing it at scale is a mystery that we're committed to figuring out at the Southeast campus. And then our third group is where we work together most significantly day in and day out, and those are our dually enrolled students. As you're probably well aware, we are also in the middle of a construction project. A year ago, we opened up our student experience building. If you look at the map of campus, it's the pink building at the top. We opened that. That's where our students enter. It's finally created a front door for us as a college campus. And then the kind of salmon color all the way at the bottom is our building that houses our culinary, hospitality, nutrition and dietetics, some science labs, general purpose classrooms. That we opened last spring. And then right in the middle, the kind of the colored sections, the buildings to the right half of that middle section of campus, we're in the final phases of a $185 million investment in our campus. It'll give us an additional 10 classrooms when all is said and done. It was in need of significant investment and, frankly, in building capacity to better serve the community. So this gives you a couple quick shots from the outside. Our team has done a great job, and we're incredibly excited about what this expansion of campus will mean in better serving the Arlington community and beyond. So appreciate the opportunity to just bring you an update on what's going on at your college. So.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bound. I think this is the first update we've had on our partnership with TCC directly from the Southeast, or actually the president. So, well, thank you.
If you'll have me back in future years, I'll be happy to come back and give you the next update. All right?
All right. Trustees,
thank you all.
Trustees with comments or questions tonight? Figured Ms. Fowler would.
Thank you, Dr. Bound. You're doing amazing things on that campus, and I taught there years ago, and I miss it. I miss it very much, but you all are doing such wonderful things and serving so many students. I love all the different programs that you offer. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all. You find ways to let everyone find their own way and their own path.
Absolutely.
But thank you for working with the AISD students and the dual enrollment. It's so important to so many of our students and our families. And thank you for being such a good community member. Thank you.
It's a privilege to be here, and we greatly appreciate the partnership. And you, as you all know, my job is to maybe help set a direction for here's where we're going. Make sure we got the resources and get out of the way and let our faculty and staff do their great job. So,
And Ms. Fowler, in addition to teaching there, you have another special family connection to Tarrant County College. You want to explain what that is?
Thank you, President Chapa. Yes, I'm very proud that my father, Dr. James Artis Bell, was one of the
Absolutely.
founders of the college.
Absolutely.
And I remember being young, and these important-looking men came to the house, and they were gathered around talking. And my dad said, we need it in something in Tarrant County that's open door. We accept everyone who wants to come, and we got to make it affordable. So I'm so proud that 60 years ago, my dad helped form the Tarrant County College. Back then, it was Tarrant County Junior College.
That's right.
But I'm so proud, and I see everything that, all the different campuses and everything that's going on, and my dad has passed, but I know he's looking down, and that he is very, very proud of the work that has continued. So
As
thank
he
you for
should
your
be.
part. Thank
great
you.
vision.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Dr. Smith?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Bound. I won't tell everybody where, but every now and then Dr. Bound and Dr. Cowley from UTA and I get together for breakfast and have some meetings. And one of the things that I admire most about Dr. Bound is he came in right away, rolled up his sleeves, and is constantly working to try and figure out how we do the best that we possibly can for our kids in our community. And he's been open to every topic that we've discussed. We share ideas. We're working on some things now, talking about moving forward for the future, and just greatly appreciate the partnership that we have with our higher ed organizations here in Arlington ISD, and appreciate your leadership, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Mr. Wilbanks?
Thank you, President Chapa. And Dr. Bound, I do want to say I've got to give kudos to the one area where I think you excel more than any other college, two-year associate degree college in this state, and that's your student success initiatives. My daughter had the fortune of working for you guys as a student, and when she transferred back to UTA, continued to work for you guys, because you guys really figured out how to take students who maybe are first-time students and get them to the finish line. And I think, I haven't seen the numbers of where you guys are on that and if it's still going up, but I have to think it is, because you guys are doing that well. And I think you guys are an exemplar for the rest of the nation. So thank you.
Very kind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Any other comments from, or questions from trustees? Ms. Richardson, do you have anything? Okay. I just wanted to say thank you. I have had several family members go through TCC in some form or fashion over the years, and our partnerships with y'all really create so much opportunity for our students. We throw around terms like P-TECH and early college, high school, and dual credit all the time, but I mean, just to put it into perspective, it's not just academic programs. I mean, those are also very strong. I think our collegiate high school has been ranked on U.S. News and World Report, which is in large part due to the work that y'all are doing over at the early college high school we have on the TCC Southeast campus. But we also have all of our career tech programs who can get certifications and associate's degrees through y'all. And one of the most important things for me is, in a community where almost 80% of our students come from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, we know that statistically our students will struggle to make the leap from when they leave us in 12th grade to whatever they want to do next, whether it's a certification program or an associate's degree or something else. Life frequently will get in the way, and they will take on some debt to do those programs, and frequently they won't graduate and they'll be stuck with the debt. But because of the partnerships we have with you, it really allows the students to get all of that done up front and early for free, and it changes, statistically, it changes the trajectory of not just their career and academic path, but also their families. And so this was a short report, but the work that you do for us is and with us is so much greater, and I just want to point that out and say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That concludes our first report tonight. We'll move on to item B. We have a report on safety and discipline from Dr. Smith and Dr. Jarko. Dr. Smith.
Yes, as Dr. Jarko comes on up, as you all remember, we started some reports to you all and a focus on this over the past year, and then as part of your priorities, you honed in on this priority for us as a school district. We know that students learn best in a safe and appropriate environment, teachers teach best in a safe and appropriate environment. And I'm thankful for the work that our teams have been doing. I think we got a big contingent here tonight to talk a little bit about some of this stuff, so I'll turn it over to TJ.
All right, thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you, Board President Chapa, members of the board. Super excited to be here this evening to go ahead and to talk about the work that we've done over the past year on our safety and discipline in Arlington ISD. We feel like we've got a lot of positive momentum. We hope to share that story this evening. So our purpose in this work is first off to provide you tonight with an update regarding the AISD Behavior Task Force. It's also to provide an update on strategies we're using across our campuses. And we're going to highlight 3 campuses tonight specifically. While we're highlighting 3, we could highlight all 76. There's been progress made on all of our campuses. We just don't have enough time in a board report to go ahead and go into all 76 tonight. As Dr. Smith mentioned, we are really aligned to our board priorities around safety and discipline. We know that when we create the right conditions for kids that they can thrive in the campus. We also are really tied into our board priority around culture. We know that if we have a solid culture on our campuses, it helps our teachers, it helps everyone at the campus. It helps us to save time and be more efficient. I think you'll see that through our story tonight. We're tied into board performance objective 1, and this is extremely important because it's our lag measure on how we're trying to determine whether or not we are doing a good job. And that is we really want to move our campus safety working conditions staff rating from 3.9 to 4.1. We believe we're on that trajectory, but again, that's our lag measure, and we'll talk a little bit about our lead measures as well. If we were to summarize our learning journey this year, we could probably summarize it in 3 bullets. First off, we started the year off with an AISD Behavior Task Force, and the work that we did was to go ahead and get teacher voice to start off right off the bat. That teacher voice led us to start thinking in that task force, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, how we best determine what the root causes are last summer and how we best progress and move forward. We have done a lot of work around those different items, and one of that is the professional learning that we have put out for both administrators and teachers. It hasn't been a one-stop shop. It's been a continuous event of professional development with our principals and our APs and our RPs, which you'll get to hear from here in a second, our PBS specialists. It was an ILA, so you'll see Lee Jones up there in the top right-hand corner. Every one of our ILAs so far since August and September has focused on how we continue to work and to improve behavior at all 76 of our campuses. It's been received very well. We've worked on things such as Character Strong as one example and how to implement that successfully as a program where a young man or a young lady in a classroom can end up learning some strategies to help them with their behavior on the front end rather than the back end. For our teachers, we had 2 specific trainings. The first one was at the beginning of the year, professional development in August. The second one was in our professional development in January. And it was super unique because we designed it in a way where campuses had a lot of choice. And I hope that's a theme that we recognize tonight. They had a choice to go and do a hybrid model where we pushed out support. They had a choice to go ahead and use a toolkit in terms of how they would go ahead and train their staff at their campus. Or they had a choice to go ahead and add their own flair to it. And we gave them that choice and helped them also support them so that the work was being done for them. We feel like it was received very, very well at the campus. We're having ongoing support at the campus level. All of our specialists have caseloads of teachers. Oftentimes they're new teachers. Oftentimes they may be a bridge teacher and an experienced teacher who needs that extra support, and they're building the relationships, working with them one-on-one, and also working in conjunction with the ICs, the administrators on the campus. We've been super intentional of making sure that campus voice has been elevated and that their work is directly aligned to that campus voice so that each campus is meeting the needs, getting the needs met that they need. An example of that is when we reorganized our PBS and restorative practice specialist group, which you can see a couple pictures there on the left-hand side that they have worked through in their meetings. We decided to start thinking about how we design specific plans for every single campus. We designed the template, but we went out to the campus principals and said, okay, what does the voice of your campus say in terms of what you need? And we elevated those things and tried to take a really narrowed focus so that our support and our resources was pushed out to the 76 campuses in a way that it met what they needed. And I think that's a theme all the way through our presentation tonight, is we really try to differentiate and meet campuses where they are so that we can focus on taking their culture at their campus to the next step. And it's really been a unique experience. It's been a great team approach as we work through that. I say we, and some of those we with the campus staff are not here tonight, but we do have some of those we here tonight, and those folks are going to be our team and our PBS and restorative practices specialists. So I'd like them to go ahead and stand real quick. This group is just an absolutely outstanding group. They started the year off kind of trying to figure out how they were going to gel with each other, and I just got a chance yesterday to see them gel very well, where they were going through problems of practice with each other, giving each other feedback so that they can build their capacity, because at the heart of our work is the capacity building that we're doing. So if we can give that group a round of applause. And speaking of that group, we're going to go ahead and tell the story through that group tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and invite tonight for Goodman Elementary School, we're going to invite up Principal Guzman and Mrs. Tinoco. They're going to talk to you a little bit in 3 minutes or less. 3 minutes is the key word. The work that's been going on at Goodman Elementary School. So I'll turn it over to them, and they'll turn it over to some of our other campuses. We have an elementary, junior high, and a high school, and Goodman will be first.
Hi, I'm Julia Tinoco. I'm one of the PBIS specialists that help support the elementaries.
Hi, I'm humbled to be here. I'm Marissa Guzman, the proud principal of Goodman Elementary. Thank you for allowing us to speak today. She's my partner, one of our partners in crime. So as you can see in these pictures, Ms. Tinoco has been supporting one of our pre-K classrooms. It's a pre-K classroom that has 23 students with big emotions, bigger than your average 4-year-old emotions. So our PBI specialist, Ms. Tinoco, she's been helping the teacher by supporting her and guiding her with some lessons and some strategies and just modeling for her in the classroom. And one of our success stories is that she encouraged Ms. Bayan, the pre-K teacher, to try morning check-ins with a group of students, the students that have the biggest emotions. And Ms. Bayan was hesitant at first because she didn't want the rest of her kids to feel left out. But she tried it. And it's working. So during these morning meetings, she's teaching her kids to understand what an empty cup feels like and what a full cup feels like. And instead of showing those big emotions and those big behaviors, to replace those big behaviors with "my cup is empty," with the sentence stem, "my cup is empty." And last week, one of her students, for the first time, informed her, "Miss Bayan, my cup is empty." And the teacher took the time to ask her, "Well, what do you need from me?" And the student said, "I need a hug." And she gave her a hug. So she feels like these little check-ins are working. Thank you so much for the support. But that's not all. After those morning check-ins with some special friends, she also goes back into the class as the kids transition into the whole group fluidly, because they've already had that undivided attention by their teacher. She asked the rest of the class if anyone needs a check-in, and she allows them to also have those opportunities. So we want to thank Ms. Tinoco for the partnership and the rest of the team for allowing us to have these partnerships. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, did it? Okay. Okay. Oh, exactly 3 minutes? Okay.
Hi, how are y'all? I am Erin Fogelman, proud principal of Workman Junior High, very proud Wildcat, and I have with me Kai Smith, our junior high restorative practice specialist. I just want to thank you guys for allowing us to highlight some of the extensive work that we've done on campus-wide systems at Workman to address our most critical challenges and also to improve the feeling of safety on campus, because that's a critical thing there. Data shows that our improvements need to be made in behavior. It's no surprise to us, but we are hitting it head on, and we're doing it from a team approach. We believe holding students accountable is necessary. We all know that for their behavior. But what we also believe is necessary at the junior high level is to teach students how to self-regulate. It's critical, and also how to resolve conflict. And so you will see at the pictures there on the slide, one of them is a hallway, which might seem a little odd to you, but our hallways have notoriously been not necessarily filled with students, but have had students walking the halls. And we worked really, really hard this year on a tardy system to make sure that our students get in class, stay in class, and we've made some great strides. We still have some work to do, I will say, in all transparency. But we know when students walk the halls, behavior tends to increase. The top image there is a portion of what we call our workman wall. Our workman wall is a consistent area of the classroom that is in every class for students to know, what are the classroom expectations. There's a reward and consequence system that we have worked extensively with LaToya Pierre, who is our PBIS specialist and sitting right over there. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to turn it over to Kai Smith because I would like for her to talk to you about our restorative practice specialist, to talk to you about specifically what we've done to address aggression. I will say that, we still have conflict on campus. We still have altercations. But something that I am very proud of is that the intensity of those altercations are a lot less. They are quicker. We're able to get there faster. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things of addressing the feeling of safety on campus. So I'd like for her to speak about those systems.
Good evening. So as Dr. Fogelman pointed out, the students who are involved in verbally or physically aggressive situations frequently need to be taught self-regulation. And so our counselors now conduct daily SEL lessons for 30 to 60 minutes in the ISS room. Another way that our counselors are supporting this work is with student mediations. We have updated the previous version of our mediation log to add a specific check-in section in order to monitor student interactions after the mediation has been completed. We wanted to be sure that all adults involved in the process are aware of any conflicts that might be lingering or anything that's happening through friend groups that often pops up as a result of social media. A piece of feedback that I received from a counselor is that not only does this log streamline the communication between the counselors and all of the staff, campus staff who are involved with working with those students, but it gives the person who is conducting that mediation a broader understanding for student motivations and their needs. For students who have demonstrated aggressive behaviors, we have bumped it up by providing specific lessons geared toward them taking accountability, reflecting on how their behavior is impacting themselves and others, and finding appropriate alternatives to some of their behaviors. The goal is for that to be done in ISS, but we also are working toward sending it home to work with families, and those families are also receiving a document about teens and aggressions. The feedback that was recently reported to an AP at Workman is that the parent appreciated the information because it gave her a better understanding of why her child may be behaving this way, as well as providing her with an opportunity to have a conversation about that emotion and check in on her child. How are they doing emotionally? She also appreciated the partnership in working with the school, and the partnership is a huge part of the culture that we're trying to build at Workman Junior High and throughout Arlington ISD. So here's Mr. Jones and the high school update.
Maybe a little over here.
Hi, everyone. Lee Jones, principal of Bowie High School, and today I have with me Mr. Josh Church. He is our restorative practice specialist, and he has been a huge part in our success this school year. Start off talking about one of the things or a couple of things that we're really driving into this year are relationships, getting to know your who in your classrooms, and resolving conflicts. So every first day of the week, whether it be Monday or Tuesday, if we get those Mondays off on Tuesday, then they do the Character Strong lessons. They're either doing that or SEL lessons in every single one of their classrooms. Some of the responses we got back from teachers were it gives them an opportunity to build classroom culture by doing those lessons. They get a feel for how the students are as they walk in to start the week, and relationships are being formed between peers and also between that student and the teachers. And the picture there, that is one of our Wednesday workshops that we did in January. Simple activity was draw the word VOLS, V-O-L-S. So they were partners of four, the teachers were at this workshop. So one person in the group spelled out VOLS, V-O-L-S. They're like, this is very easy. It is, right? So in that picture, the bottom picture on the corner of the right, you'll see that there are strings there. And so there are 4 strings there, and now you have to do that with your 4 partners. You are spelling out VOLS with those strings. And it doesn't look pretty at the bottom right there. And the message was, our kids walk into the building with strings pulling on them every single day. And our goal is to get to know those strings and help them to where it looks like that. Instead, it looks very easy. So we're helping them instead of giving them another string that's pulling at them. The results have been a reduction in physical conflict. Right now, we are at 48% reduction in violent offenses in comparison to last school year. Church is going to speak on one of those big things here in a little bit that has helped us out, our Anthony Strathers Peace Project. Another thing is restorative circles, having those conversations with students. Today we did something that we've never done before, and right before I got here at 4 p.m., I did a family restorative circle. We had a group of 3 girls who have been going back and forth since November. I called the parents and said, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a restorative session. And before I did that, this morning I said, Church, I need your help. And he came and gave me the help and guidance that I needed to lead that conversation. And it worked out perfectly and beautifully today. The last thing that I have to talk about is what it means to be a volunteer. Our kids come in and they're still trying to figure out themselves at that high school age. And so we've done some student empathy interviews with our Latino male students because we saw that some of them just don't feel like they have a place to belong. You see it in the data. We did that and we asked them, what do you need? They talked to us about what they need. We did those empathy interviews, and the one thing that they really honed in on, every single one of them talked about just relationships and people who care. And now when you talk to those students, you see that, and now you see it in one of the things that we focus on, our math scores, where our benchmark data shows that we have 86 kids who either went from do not meets at all either to meets or masters. They're skipping over that approaches section. And so you're also seeing it within our academics. And the biggest thing that our kids need is finding a place. And that way they can cross the line, which at Bowie High School, that means to graduate. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Church.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight and speak on the Strather Peace Project. The Strather Peace Project is a nonviolence initiative that sort of became a brainchild over the summer as I met with some of the parents of some of our students that were lost to violence in the past 5 years. And so in speaking to them, basically came to the conclusion that, you know, this is going to have to be something that the students are going to need to lead. And so that's how I approached Mr. Jones about it in the beginning of the year. I said, hey, you know, we need to do something about decreasing these fights. We need to do something about ensuring that we don't have that level of violence on our campuses at Bowie. Are you willing to go on this adventure with the Strather Peace Project? He said, absolutely. And the goal was to reduce fighting by 50%. So we're at 48 right now, and we have 2 months left. So we're really pushing it. But it's not really us. It's actually the students, and that's what I want to speak on tonight. The students are leading this effort. All I did was introduce them to the idea of the Strather Peace Project. Then we created Peace Ambassadors. They have their own marketing and creative teams, and they have their own event planners. So everything that you see in the slide up here is a representation of that. These kids are leading with compassion, they're leading with love, and they're leading with courage. These students had the courage early in the year during the pep rally to stand in front of all their peers and say, hey, let's have an honest conversation about how we can keep our schools safer. And then that led into the Arlington High Bowie football game, where we honored the families of victims, our student parents, the students who were victims, and they were able to do the coin toss in the middle of the field. And got to have their students talked about on the intercom. Even reached out to a parent who's no longer living in the Arlington area and got her input from Arlington High student Samuel Reynolds. So what you're looking at is a student-led initiative of nonviolence, and they're out there asking the questions of the kids. Hey, what do you need to do to avoid conflict? Do you have anybody to talk to at school? If you do, who is it? If you don't have anybody, let's get you connected with somebody. You know, before spring break, they were handing out flyers, which there's a little snippet up there. And it was just a reminder, hey, avoid conflict on social media. You know, reach out to a trusted person if you need help. And these are students walking around handing these things out and having these conversations. So that's the beginning part of the Strather Peace Project. It's meant to be a side-by-side action between community, parent, and school. We have had some parent involvement. One of our parents
Comments, Tony Strather's grandfather, has gone around the local community, passed out information on the Strather Peace Project. You'll see some stickers and some windows at Brooklyn's Best Pizza. And then one of our strong community members has been Mark Sheldon from CC's Pizza. He's an owner who has been very supportive of the effort and has even donated some pizza in various times as well. So, and Dr. Jarko.
All right, thank you. We all know that when kids are known, valued, inspired, and connected, that they're usually successful, and we really appreciate our team, our restorative practices specialists, PBS specialists in that work. It's not just them, it's the campus teams, the administrators. It's a team effort across the district, and it's done a remarkable job. You might ask, well, what's the data look like? We'll give you a brief look at that real quick. So if you'll look at the slide up here. So in 2023-24, you can see we had a pretty drastic number of discipline incidents, and through February 25th, we are down quite a few. We're projected to be about 13,000, if I'm doing my math right, somewhere in that, roughly in that area, less discipline incidents. We'll run our March numbers pretty soon. We just are now getting into April. We know things pick up a little bit in the spring, but we also know that we have done a great job up to this point. And if we are looking at it from the standpoint of this year to last, we have drastically reduced the number of referrals. On the right-hand side are 4 areas where referrals have to be written. So on the right-hand side, you'll see physical aggression, fight and combat, disruption of the classroom and walking out of the classroom. Generally speaking, you're going to write a referral for those things no matter what, and you can see that the data looks very, very positive when you look at it from the standpoint of what it looked like at the end of February last year compared to the end of February this year. We'll just call one out, and that is the fights and combat, 350 or 300, I think, 299 maybe, if I'm doing the math on the spot, less incidents. And that's important because every fight on campus disrupts the culture. Every fight on campus disrupts a teacher's workday, a student's workday, an administrator's workday, and when we reduce those things, we just have more time to go ahead and to pour back into kids. So we're super proud of that work. You might ask, what are our next steps? Well, we started this by getting teacher voice. We decided to go ahead and determine the root cause. We dove into what our actions were. We plotted our course. We're in the middle of that course right now, and what we'll end up doing is we'll revise and reflect in April and May and going into the summer to determine what's working, what we can tweak, what we can do better. And because we've already got the existing structures in place, the work will be a little bit easier this time around, especially with the behavior support plans that meet the campus's needs and really narrow the focus onto the area that's going to have the highest ROI. So just very excited about the work. Again, our goal is to try to get that number from 3.9 to 4.1. We think we're well on our way, and at this time I'd like to open it up for discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Jarko. We have trustees with comments or questions. We'll start with Ms. Fowler.
Thank you, Dr. Jarko. The overreaching thing that I think is most important, these are life skills that are being taught. They're not just skills that'll get them through elementary or get them through junior high or get them through high school. You're teaching them life lessons. And not only are these students learning these lessons, but we're hoping that maybe they'll take that home and parents can do better and siblings can do better. But I love this work. I think everyone is doing such incredible work. But these are life lessons that they're going to be able to carry on into their workplace or into their own family someday. So I'm just very, very proud of the work that's going on in AISD. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. Ms. McMurrow. Let's try that again. Ms. McMurrow.
Thank you, Dr. Jarko, and thank you, everyone, for being here tonight after a long day and almost a long week at school. So thank y'all for your work and for representing tonight. I love the campus success stories, and I know that every campus is different, so I do appreciate that each building, each school family has some autonomy to develop some structures on what works best for them. So for example, at Goodman, I see those SEL check-ins are really making a difference, and we're seeing success with using common language in classrooms like "my cup is empty." At Workman, I see that reflection on behavior is a big part of it, which is great for our junior high age students. At Bowie, we've got a lot going on: character strong lessons, empathy interviews, restorative sessions. I love the Strather Peace Project, especially the fact that it's student-led. I think that's really going to make a difference, and it's obviously paid off already with a 48% reduction in violent offenses. My question is, do you Do you all at the campus level, if you want to answer this, Dr. Jarko or whoever wants to chime in, do you see these measures as being preventative to our most extreme behaviors on the campuses?
I'll answer it for him, I guess. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, anytime that you sit down and try to determine root causes and try to make sure you're getting teacher voice, you oftentimes are leaning in, Sarah, to, what needs to be focused on that campus. And we want to get out in front of it because we know that responding to discipline issues is obviously a time killer. So we do believe that we're getting out in front of some of those things. I think some of the stories tonight just about how we're helping, a young lady, making sure that she can go ahead and say, hey, my cup's not filled today. That's a way to get in front of something so that young lady doesn't have an issue later on in the day. And I think we could tell quite a few of those stories. But I definitely think that we're being more proactive than we have, and the results are showing up.
That's awesome, and that's awesome to hear. I think that's where a lot of concern comes from, is because what you all know as professionals, once a student gets in that mode, it's really hard to get them back after that threshold has been crossed. So I'm hoping that has been part of the conversation on the behavior task force as well. When a student is in that mode, what are some of the actions that campus staff takes, and does the teacher, I'm really thinking about teachers here, honestly, does the teacher know what to do? Are they trained in what they might have to do? Has that been part of the conversation of the task force?
Absolutely. So each one of the PBS specialists and restorative practices specialists have a group of teachers that they're building capacity in. That may be what we lacked a little bit in sharing tonight, is that they started their work thinking about how they build capacity. It's not about them. They're trying to work themselves to a point where there's nothing left to work on. If we could ever get to there in education, it would be great. But their entire focus is building capacity with individual teachers. They're having to keep it narrow, but we're using our resources, in my opinion, about the best we possibly can to build that capacity on the front end so that, situations in the classroom don't arise and impact 24, 26, 28 learners.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I mean, as a board, our role is policy, district-wide policy. So as much as I love the campus autonomy, anything that stems from the behavior task force that you can help us guide revisiting policy to support all campuses, we're always willing to listen and make sure that our district policies reflect what needs to be done to protect our staff. So thank you all for the efforts that you made and are still making. And thank you all for also having teacher voice as part of it. I hope that's something that continues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McMurrow. Mr. Mike.
Just lost all my notes. So we're going to wing this. What I'd like to say is just a thank you. I think many folks in our community don't understand the difficulty it is for teachers. They believe that teachers only go in there and teach reading, writing, arithmetic, and that's it. But they don't see this work. Having the pleasure to tour schools and see behavior issues going on, but to see teachers going in trying to deal with that. So not only are you dealing with trying to meet a child where they are at, but you're trying to change their behavior to get them to a place to be able to learn. And I think that's something that you all don't get enough credit for. It certainly should be applauded, and I think everything that you do is very worthwhile to the future of this community. From what I can remember in my notes, is that I think there was a conversation about the daily SEL for the ISS. And in a previous role, years ago, I worked probation and parole, and understanding the recidivism rates for parolees and probationers, they tried to change that dynamic by rehabilitating them. And to me, when I heard that, and that's the first thing I thought of, was rehabilitating that behavior so that they can truly understand this is not the right way to do things. It may seem like it's common sense, but I think that's just amazing work that you all are doing for these children. And certainly, data doesn't lie. The data is showing exactly that this is working for everything. And there was another point that I wish I had these notes. That was really good. The presentation was really good, but I really wanted to point that out. Overall, I just thank you. I can't thank you enough And I know you all don't get enough praise, and I wish we could just give you all the money in the world for the work that you do. But you are certainly worth it, and just thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. We got a talented team for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. And if you think of your point that you wanted to make, we can always come back to you. We'll go now to Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, President Chapa and Dr. Jarko. I too want to echo the thanks that my colleagues have given you guys for this very, very important work. And I also like the fact that that we're filling our toolkits with a lot of different tools to adapt it to the unique needs of each campus. And the numbers are impressive with the numbers that you showed. We got some work to do still, but absolutely, man, they're trending in the right direction. You know, I can't say enough about, you know, oftentimes we see a lot of strategies implemented and are presented to us, but we don't see the precipitous declines that we see with these numbers. So thank you for all the hard work. One of the things that that you guys presented on in the last presentation that you made to the board was the fact that we're doing a good job of implementing PBIS at Tier 1, but we weren't building the capacity we needed to with staff at Tier 2 and Tier 3. Where are we in building that capacity across the system, and how is that work going?
Yeah, we have work to do all the way across the board, whether it's, you know, Tier 1, Tier 2, or Tier 3. So, you know, it's really campus dependent because we leaned in so specific, Mr. Wilbanks, into those, you know, behavior support plans and what they needed. That could be a consideration we need to make for each campus as we move into next year is what does Tier 2 and Tier 3 look like? Our challenge, of course, is to use our available resources to the best of our ability to meet campus needs, and we appreciate that feedback.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Are there any other trustees with comments or questions? Ms. Richardson, do you have anything? Okay, I have a couple of points and a question or two. So the numbers look good. I think there is a reluctance on the part of some districts, and maybe even in this one in the past, to put numbers up and have discussions about safety and discipline. And so something that we have been doing, this is not a new thing. We've had several presentations on this now, and we've made safety and discipline one of the district priorities as part of our new focus for the district and with Dr. Smith. And so this reflects work that's been going on a long time. It's not like we just discovered the strategies that you're using in the last few years and just started doing the work in the last couple of years. This is the result of a lot of ongoing work that was disrupted substantially by the COVID years, and that was something we saw play out nationwide and also here. The numbers on the referral counts, the drops there look really good, and we've seen that before. And so, but something that I just want to give you all an opportunity to respond to is sometimes we'll say, well, the referral counts are dropping pretty substantially, and sometimes we'll get a response along the lines of, well, the reason that the referral counts are dropping is just you're making it harder for teachers to write referrals, or you're not acknowledging behaviors that otherwise would have got a referral. So what is your response to that? Because I know from talking to folks, from the presentations we've seen tonight, there is a real change. These things are real. So what's the response to, now that's not actually the story, there's real movement here?
Yeah, anytime that you're looking at data from year to year, you know, you've got that risk of going in and having data one year, maybe not have the same inputs as the next year. I believe, you know, the best way to answer that is that we have got the behavior support plans that are in place, and those behavior support plans are really focusing on trying to make sure that a teacher in many cases knows exactly how to go ahead and handle a situation with classroom discipline, but also we know how to respond, and I think we're preventing some of that on the front end through our work around building capacity. It's also when we put those 4 different indicators on the right-hand side of that data chart, because each of those 4 indicators are, again, like places where a teacher is generally going to write a referral, no matter if it's 2020, 2019, 2024, 2025, they're going to write a referral for those things, or a staff member is. So there is some consistency there, I think, between those 4 specifically, Mr. Chapa, where from year to year, I think we can feel pretty confident about that data.
If I may add too, I think there's 2 other things that I want to point out. First, I think for some time, and I'm talking about public education in general, when we talked about practices like restorative circles, we often talked about that instead of consequences in some people's minds. And I think that there is a real balance, and I don't think that you heard that from anyone here tonight. We absolutely believe if a student's behavior requires a consequence, we can hold them accountable for that behavior. There's another part, though. It's an and, not an or. The and is we also believe it's our job to teach them proactively as best as we can to not repeat those things and to address those actions before they ever become an issue. And I think it's a both and in this situation that we have to continue to focus on. And where I think this really shows up, just to point back to the key progress measure that we set with the Board of Trustees, it is not taking a look at the number of referrals in our system. It's actually taking a look at the staff satisfaction index in this area. What we want at the end of this is for our teachers to say, we feel supported with the behavior process that's going on, and we feel safe in our schools. And if we believe that we can do that and constantly work to teach our students to navigate some of the big challenges that they're having to navigate is young people in our systems right now, and we constantly focus on the teacher well-being in the classroom and the safety in the classroom, that by doing that and really measuring the outcome from the teacher perspective, that we'll be able to make a large dent in this. And I think that helps get at the fact that we're not telling teachers not to write referrals. In fact, I hope that's never come out of any administrator's mouth in our system. What we are saying is, if we get to a referral situation, let's teach the student and not have them repeat the same behavior. And ideally, let's teach them before we ever get to the referral process.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, Dr. Jarko. I mean, I appreciate that explanation because, this is substantial, very hard work, and it's indicative of what we saw tonight exemplifies that. I mean, Mr. Church, you're talking about the Strather Peace Project. I mean, that is an innovative thing that is, I'm assuming, a lot of hard work, and when done right, these types of interventions do show success. I mean, I think it's relatively easy to do these things halfway, and then you get unsatisfactory results, but when it's done right, when you get especially student buy-in, these types of results are possible. And, Mr. Jones, I also want to give you credit. I see Ms. Crawford from your staff is here as well. Bowie is doing this across the board in a number of ways. You've got the Strather Peace Project. We've heard some information over the last year as part of the AVID recertification program about Bowie's at-risk mail initiative, and so it's a multifaceted approach to dealing with this, and you're seeing the results from it. So echo my colleagues in saying thank you for doing this hard work. We know that it's something that is a very big part of teachers' everyday experience, of our students' everyday experience, but we're seeing a lot of progress in this area, and I think that we'll see what the key progress measures show this year as to whether or not it's working across the system. But what we're hearing this year, I think, is much more positive than we've heard before, and I think the numbers are continuing to decline and go the way that we would like to see them. I also just want to point out, sometimes we get some feedback on how our schools are out of control, or we have so many problems and things along those lines. And it's sort of, one question is, compared to what? I mean, we're a major school district. We've got some campuses with, 2,000-3,000 kids, teenagers in them, and they have all the problems that go along with that. But on the incident counts that you have here, I mean, something we hear about is fighting, and I don't want to minimize the issues with that in any way, but you're looking, if you do the math, we're talking about 2% of our students, and some of these are people that might be involved in multiple incidents over the course of the year. We're talking about maybe at the outer limit, 2% of our students are creating these issues, which means that a very, very substantial number of our students are going to school and taking care of their business, and we spend a lot of time and effort focusing on that 2%. I think that plays out in a lot of aspects of life. And this is no different, but I just want to emphasize that these numbers actually show that our schools are, by and large, very safe places for our students to be, where they can go and succeed and learn. And I just want to emphasize that, because that is something that sometimes I hear, and being a product of this district myself, and from a high school that sometimes is viewed as being negatively on that sort of spectrum, that chatter is not reflective of the everyday reality that we're seeing on the ground. So I just wanted to point that out as well. So thank you for your work.
Very true. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to report item C. This is our mid-year academic report. We'll hear from Dr. Smith and our Assistant Superintendent of Research and Accountability, Dr. Natalie Lopez.
As Dr. Lopez comes to the podium this evening and we let this group exit, I don't think they want to stay for some reason. When you have a big group of 20, it's hard to be discreet like that, yeah. But we're glad to have Natalie here to present an update to you all. As you know, we monitor data on academic progress and growth on a regular basis. In the district, we report out to you at intervals that we agreed on with you at the beginning of the year. And so we'll turn it over to Natalie to give you our mid-year progress update.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. President Chapa, members of the board, thank you for your time this evening for the mid-year academic progress report. So this is an update on the academic performance based on our latest benchmark assessment as it relates to our House Bill 3 goals and then also our district improvement plan performance objectives. The benchmark assessment was given in early February. So this is we're a little far out from that, but this was our first board meeting to report this out. So just wanted to give you the point in time for reference. So I'll start with that House Bill 3 update portion. That's just going to be the third grade portion of our benchmark. And so for third grade reading, we were looking to increase approaches from 62 to 65 by the end of the year. 36 to 39 for our meets level, and then 13 to 15 for masters. And so we're slightly under those end of year goals. So you can see that for our approaches grade level, we're at 62% approaches or better. 36% meets or above, and then 14% for masters. So just kind of slightly under where we need to be by the end of the year for our third grade reading results. For third grade math, we were looking to go from 63 to 67% at approaches or above, 34 to 37 for meets, and then 11 to 14% for masters. And again, those are by the end of the year, so for our upcoming STAR. And so for our third grade math results, we came in at 63% at approaches, 34% meets, and then 12% masters. So just kind of, again, just kind of slightly 2 or 3% under where we'd like to be by the end of this school year. I'll now move into our district improvement plan update. And then, so this is our overall district reading goal. This is going to include our benchmarks assessments for third grade reading through English 2. And so our goal there was to go from 70 to 72% approaches or above, 45 to 46% meets or above, and then 15 to 17% at the master's level. And so we're coming in at 68% approaches or above, 44% meets or above, and then 15% masters. So again, just kind of slightly under where we want to be for our STAR assessments coming up in April and May. For overall district math, we had slightly more aggressive goals for math. We know we have a little bit more ground to gain there, and so we desire to go from 64 to 70% at approaches or above, 34 to 37% meets or above, and then 12 to 13% at the master's level. And so for our third grade math through Algebra 1, we came in at 62% approaches or above, 34% meets or above, and then 13% masters. So currently we're where we want to be at the end of the year with our master's level, got a larger than 5% gap for that approaches level or above, and then just kind of 3% there for our meets. And again, that's towards our end of the year goals. And then for overall district science, also some kind of bigger gains to make there. So 64 to 70% approaches level or above, 33 to 37% for meets or above, and then 9 to 12% master's level. Those were our goals. We came in with our benchmarks, 5th grade science, 8th grade science, and biology at 61% approaches or above, 30% meets or above, and then 9% masters. I'll move now into the college, career, and military readiness. We're looking for our 12th grade AISD students to go from 87 to 90% by the end of the school year. And as of March 24th, we were at 77% of our seniors with a CCMR point. That's higher than we were at this point in time last year. So we feel confident that we'll get to our end of the year goal, and some great work going on with CCMR at our high school campuses. For our attendance goal, we're wanting to go from 93% to 94% by the end of the year. We are under. We're coming in right now, actually as of March 24th, and we are still maintained at 93% as of today. And then Dr. Buell is going to come up and talk to you about the response to the academic pieces based on the benchmark data.
Good evening. We have been really working from both a district and a campus level to coordinate supports and really target our students that need the most support. We have our instructional facilitators who are out working with some of our most needy campuses to develop support plans, again, in that capacity building mode, so that we can help to not only provide support for the students, but also help the teacher leverage interventions that can accelerate the student learning. We are also working in collaboration with the central office curriculum and instruction team to also partner with us on that, where we may have a grade level of teachers who need some support with the planning process or even modeling with how do we deliver this instruction in a different way or effectively leverage small group instruction. So I can't come up and say we're doing just one thing. I think the beauty of the plan is that we've identified the campuses that really need that support, and we've partnered the executive director, the principal, usually somebody at the campus like the instructional coach, and someone from our C&I team or an IF to sit down together, look through the data, and determine where are the spots that we most need that support. And we're seeing a lot of success and getting really good feedback for that. We're also really focusing on just the PLC process. How do we take the data that we have all the way down to the student level so that we're working smarter and not harder to meet the needs of our students. And our central office team is also supporting campuses where we might need to think about that a little bit different. A lot of embedded teacher coaching, side-by-side support to be able to help just be thought partners and improve that professional practice to meet the individual needs of the students.
And that brings us to our discussion portion of this presentation.
All right, Dr. Lopez, Dr. Buell, thank you. Do we have comments or questions from trustees? Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, President Chopin. Thank you, Dr. Lopez. Just kind of a reminder. So we had CA1, and when was that? November. And then we had the benchmark that was
February 1st through the 15th.
And then when is CA2? When was that?
No, we don't have CA2 this year. It was CA1 and then benchmark. Benchmark is our second curriculum assessment.
And then now we're sliding into STAR.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Which starts next week.
Okay. I was a little confused because usually we did do a second CA, right?
We had done that in the past, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So on slide 9, well, let me go to the big one here. So we're seeing a little bit of a dip between CA1 and benchmark on the approaches and also on the masters. We've seen just a slight increase between CA1 and the benchmark there. What's our confidence level that we'll be able to kind of move the needle significantly more? Now, we set an aggressive goal for approaches, but even on meets and master, well, we're already there on.
We're there at masters, sorry,
But
yes.
on meets, or what's our confidence level in being able to close that gap, given that we're kind of just treading water on approaches and meets between CA and benchmark? I know they're two totally different tests, but.
They are. CA1 actually covers the content that we've taught up to that point in time. The benchmark that we use is a STAR-released test. So there are items on the test that the students have been exposed to. We have a process that accounts for some of that. Regardless, with the interventions that the use of the data and the intervention that the student has that's targeted towards their area that they missed, it is possible that we can stretch to reach the goal. We tend to do our students sometimes environmental factors such as knowing that this is a practice test. There's, it may not be taken as seriously. Not all students are tested. We aim for that, but sometimes when students are absent during the benchmark window, not all are tested, and then they don't make it into these projections. With STAR, that's not going to happen. I mean, we very aggressively make sure that our students are tested because we have requirements by the state, and so it is possible that we can reach these goals by the end of the year towards when the STAR window opens. And for math in particular, we have 3-4 weeks until we're scheduled to give that test. So this data was collected a month and a half ago, and we've been providing the intervention based on this assessment, and then we still have almost a month to continue providing those interventions while also learning the rest of the material that they need to learn.
Right, which is key. So on slide 11, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Lopez, you mentioned that we are ahead of where we were last year.
Yes, sir.
In terms of reaching where we were on the benchmark in relation to meeting our goal. So do you have those? You probably don't have those numbers on top of your head.
Yes, I do. Last year
was last year at this point.
Yes, last year at this point, it wasn't the exact same date. I believe it was March 26th, but we were at 74%, and our goal was 85%. We ended up reaching 87%, so we had a 13% gain from this presentation last year to, yes, sir. And so if we do that same thing and grow by 13%, we would meet this 90% goal.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. That's
yes, sir.
Good to know. So fingers crossed.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbex. Ms. McMurrow.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. I had a really quick question. Can you go back to the CCMR slide?
I'm on that. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you are on there. Thank you. Sorry. I had one slide on here and the other slide on the other screen. I apologize. So I sent in this question to Dr. Smith because I know that the formula for CCMR involves several things. And can you just kind of elaborate on, given the time that we have left in the school year, this percentage is projected to continue to improve. Is that right?
Yes, and so that gets a little bit about what, this time last year we were at 74%, and then by the end of the window for when CCMR points are acquired, we did reach that 87%. So we grew 13% from this presentation at this point in time, not exact same day, but around this time last year to what our end goal was, our end value was. So I would say it is very likely that we will get from the 77 to the 90% by the time the CCMR point window closes. And it's different. It's a different point in time for the different aspects of CCMR.
Thank you for clarifying this,
Okay,
because
yes,
when we're just looking at this slide, that context, you had to explain it, and just looking at the slide, I wouldn't have known that.
Okay.
So that is key, and it looks like if we were on that same rate of improvement, given where we were last year versus end of year outcomes,
yes, ma'am,
we actually will likely achieve our goal of 90% at the CCMR. I know that later on in this meeting, we're going to hear about remarkable strides in CCMR happening at one of our high school campuses. A lot of good work is being done. So I don't want anyone from our community to see that 77% and get alarmed and interpret this slide as this is what our performance is. So it's truly where we are now in this school year, and we still have significant room and time to keep it going up.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Board, if it's okay, I'll have either Dr. Lopez or Dr. Jarko. I think it would be important just to be clear on why that is real briefly and what goes into that CCMR point. There are multiple things, and either one of you go ahead and take this, but there are multiple things in multiple ways for students to become college, career, military ready and earn this point in all of this. So TJ, will you give us a little bit of an update on that?
Yeah, for sure. We still have April and May, and I think the easiest way I could explain this is like with IBCs. A majority of our IBCs are not going to be in that data that you saw tonight because kids would end up taking those IBCs at the CTC Center, later on in April and May. And we know that 23% of our kids earn a point through their IVC test. That's just one example, but it also applies to, we just had SAT. It was junior level, but there still may be some juniors in there that pass their SAT that could count for a point. You still have kids that could go ahead and pass an AP test before the end of the school year, a dual credit, class, and so on. All those are going to stack up. And we built a capacity with our CCMR committees and our campus committees that end up meeting once every month on Mondays to make sure they know that data. They always look at, for a kid's standpoint, what are 2 pathways for that kid to be successful? Because as you mentioned, there's a multitude of pathways that they could go down. Our job is just to make sure they find one that they're successful.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, for that, and Dr. Jarko for that clarity. I know that CCMR is something that sounds simple, but it's not. The formula involves a lot, and a lot of it we do not know and we can't even measure until the end of the year. So I really do appreciate that. And CCMR is mainly what I wanted to ask about. It looks like in our House Bill 3 goals, we are just within reach with most of our goals. And given that the benchmark was essentially a STAR test, right? Not one that, is that right? Or did I mishear that? Cumulative test, a mock STAR?
So STARS does not go into CCMR, is that?
No, I'm switching gears.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Our House Bill 3 goals.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So I want to make sure I understood, though. Is our benchmark a cumulative test, essentially a mock STAR exam?
Oh, yes. No, it is a previously released STAR exam.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason why I'm asking that is because I see that we are very close to our goal there. And I know that that assessment was given months before the actual STAR test. So you still have several weeks of instruction between then and now. So it's really exciting to see that in most cases, we are almost there, just within a couple percentage points of our goal. Everyone's working very hard, and I do believe that we're going to see some improvement in our House Bill 3 goals this coming spring. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McMurrow. Mr. Mike.
Thank you. Yes, I do want to thank you all for this report. I do want to echo my colleague, Ms. McMurrow, with regards to this being a snapshot of the particular time when they took this test. And I think it's great to see this presentation right after the previous presentation about behavior. And I think the community should be aware that when these children come in, we don't know, or you all don't know, what they're going to be facing that day. And I've seen my eyes on it in the schools where a child doesn't like her hair. She's like, I don't want to go in class. And these are things that you all face that it's out of your control. So to see this snapshot on this day where they are doing better, I think that's a good thing. And another thing that we have to consistently point out is that approaches means passes. That's what it means.
Yeah.
And so we might not be where that goal is, but if you look at the majority of them, we're either exceeding the previous year or very close to beating that. And you've got months to go. So I'm really pleased to see this, and I think it's just indicative of the work that you all do. And I know I'm just giving praise all around, right? But you all don't get enough. Right. Like, y'all are, we set some goals, and y'all are crushing it. So just thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Ms. Richardson, do you have anything on this? No. Okay. I don't have anything either. So if there are no further comments or questions from trustees, thank you, Dr. Lopez.
Thank you.
Dr. Buell, Dr. Jarko. We'll now move on to our final report tonight. Item D is a 2019 bond update and report. Dr. Smith and Assistant Superintendent of Facility Services, Kelly Horn. Dr. Smith.
You all see the construction projects that are being completed and that are underway throughout our district. And so this is our regular report from Kelly, and we'll talk a little bit about some other things right at the end of this.
Yes, sir.
Turn it to Kelly.
President Chapa, members of the board, Dr. Smith. It is the regular report, but you'll see tonight it's a bit abbreviated, so to give us a little bit more room on the back end to talk about other things. So I'll jump right to the next slide. So typically you see a slide where we just calibrate, right? We know what we have allocated for each area of the bond. That's still there. It's just over in that column that we call budget. And you can still see that number is $966 million. Next over is the amount that we have encumbered to date. And that's projects that we have ongoing and the money's allocated for those. And then you'll note the total at $572 million and some additional dollars for expended dollars so far in the bond, and then what's available. That number that's available, the $303 million, has jumped up a bit, and that's the biggest reason for that is we just had the last issuance of our bond, if you remember from our last meeting, of just over $163 million. So the total available, really that all went to facilities primarily. And so our available is $277 million and change right now. About 4 or 5 projects that we're in the process of bidding currently will use up about $150 million of that, and then the remaining of that will be primarily for projects that we're working on in Phase 4 and Phase 5. The very back end of the bond, those typically are smaller projects. I say smaller, they're much smaller in scope because those are our newer facilities or facilities that have very few needs. So that money will work quickly to spend that down and try to wrap this bond up as quickly as possible. The bond issuance costs there below the line do include the costs associated with the most recent issuance that we dealt with here recently. The arbitrage liability number is still the same. That may go up or down as we move forward, but we've tried to mitigate our arbitrage liability as much as possible by spending down our phases 1, 2, and 3 dollars at this point. And our interest and additional proceeds continue to increase month by month. It's slowed down a little bit because of the amount of money that we've expended so far, but that's still a bit over what we had before. So when you take out our obligations or the potential liabilities, we really will realize about $25 million in interest earnings at this point is what that means. Again, this is an abbreviated presentation, so rather than go phase by phase, I just lumped all these together in a slide that you see pretty regularly. You can see how many projects we've completed to date. That number is far greater than 99, but we combine projects. Like even though all of the playgrounds, there were 53 different playgrounds that we did, we put that all into one package, essentially, or into one project category. But they all were separate projects and managed separately. So that number probably could be bigger, but still a lot of projects in the works. You can see we have quite a few in planning now. That's representative of our Phase 4 work. Those that are in design are just, they're also Phase 4, some Phase 5 projects. We've begun work on some of the Phase 5 projects, in particular relative to HVAC work predominantly. You can see we have 25 in construction currently, only 3 in closeout, but that will continue to go up and down, obviously, as projects move from closeout to completed. And when we say completed, we mean completed the project and paid in full, all documents closed out. And to the good stuff, right? It's always fun to see progress photos. This is Joey Rodriguez, and this is actually only about a week and a half ago. The majority of the masonry work around the building is in place. The building is what we call dried in. So we have doors and windows, roof in place. It's moving along very quickly. You can see in the background, you can see the field. They're putting the gravel down, and won't be long they'll be putting the turf in place and so forth. And then along behind that, they'll probably do the track surfacing after the field work is complete. It's just better not to be crossing the track to get to the field, obviously. But they're making good progress. We should have that done during the month of April here, maybe the last part of the month of April. And then we'll begin putting fence around the project, and it'll really start to come together. We anticipate putting furniture into the building in the latter part of June and through July, and we'll be ready to go for the kids in August. So it's moving along like we had anticipated. And then Glaspie Field, you don't see it in the foreground, but the actual band hall addition is wrapping up now. They literally have probably 3 or 4 weeks left on that, and it'll finish. And we'll have that one ready during the summer as well, so that start of the school year we'll be ready for those students to enjoy the new band hall addition. And then of course that trickles down, right? Because when we open up the new band hall addition, we'll finish up work on the orchestra room and the choir space. Those were spaces that previously were the band hall and in the orchestra space. They just kind of move up, so that each area gets a larger renovated space. This work is probably about 3 weeks ago on the field. So in the background, you'll see 2 of the buildings up at the top of the screen are relatively finished at this point. Doors are in place, roofs in place, everything's good. They're just kind of working one building around to the next. The buildings in the foreground, most notably the one that's in the bottom, will be my bottom left, or probably your bottom left as well. That is the main ticket booth and the home side entrance right there, leading to the press box and the home side bleachers. So this project is moving along quickly, but we've had some weather delays associated with rain and a little bit of the freeze conditions, but we're working, Mr. Parkos and his team are working with the contractor to try to mitigate that a bit and keep that project where we want it to be. And so our expectation is that we'll have it ready towards the end of August in time for our first game, but we're still kind of working through those, the completion of the project. They've still not torn up the field yet. That'll be one of the last things they do as far as demolition goes, but they'll start, our contractor or subcontractor rather for the field and the track will start on that work the latter part of this month and work through May to finish that up. And then onto our hub participation numbers, we've taken a little bit of a dip. If you remember when I brought this to you back in January, we were sitting just a bit over 26% in that far right number, the Tier 2 percentage hub participation. We've taken a bit of a dip, and a lot of that is because we're in the throes of some of the bigger projects like Rodriguez and Glaspie, where we've moved into, we're starting to bill more, or the contractor's billing more as they go month by month, and so as a percentage, the hub percentage of that billing is going to be a little bit reduced. But as I mentioned before, that'll go up and down, so we'll see as we bring some other projects on board, we start to encounter some other hub numbers, some larger hub numbers, it'll go back up. And so our goal is still to be well above 25. We'd like to reach 30. I don't know if we'll get there, but that's what we're going to aspire to get to. And so with that, I wanted to bring, Dr. Smith and I talked about bringing some schematic site drawings to you for the fields, so you could compare and see how they compare to what we're doing currently at Glaspie. We have tonight, actually, one of the items you're voting on will be to award our construction manager at risk for Wildman and Cravens. They'll help us to with the architect, that is, to phase those projects, that is, the Wildman and Cravens, and work on trying to be as efficient as possible, use our dollars as best we can, and get the most out of those contracts. So, but we do have them fully designed, and so these drawings on this first one for Cravens, I'll finish with Glaspie so that you can compare those and see that we have the same amenities on each of these projects. The budgets are the same for each of the 3 projects. We hope that we can hold the line actually with those 2, but if you remember, we bid Glaspie some time ago, so it could be that we run into a little bit of inflation on Cravens and Wildman, but we've got some room and we've anticipated some of that. So they might be slightly greater than Glaspie when it's all finished. But this is Cravens. Each of these is going to be slightly different when you look at the sites, okay? And they're the same designs, essentially. They have the same amenities, but because of the sites and some of the constraints, you'll see that some of the buildings move. Wildman and Glaspie are more closely aligned, but Cravens, as you all know, with North Davis being so close behind the visitor side bleachers, you'll notice that there's a larger massing where you see the number 6 there at the lower left. And then the number 7, you'll be able to compare that. It's a much smaller building over there on that far bottom right. You have two concession buildings, number 1 and number 3, and a ticket booth at the top, number 2. Then your press box is where the number 5 sits. Again, the same design as what we have at Glaspie. The bleacher shapes are a little different because, at Cravens, they're a little more vertical, a little steeper, if you will, because of the compactness of that site. But still the same seat count. And again, your building, number 6 building down there, the reason why it's larger is we can't split up the visitor and home dressing areas. We had to put those in the same building. So that building mass is larger than what you're going to see on either the 2 buildings at Wildman or Glaspie. Additionally, on this particular site, you notice the number 4 references a fire lane that we've extended around from that south parking lot that's always been between baseball and football. That parking lot, if you've been out there in any time in the most recent past, is in pretty rough shape. It was slated for replacement, so that'll become new. And then, of course, that drive that goes around from that parking lot and connects over to the multipurpose activity center is a new fire lane drive. So we'll have some connectivity there. That will actually help with traffic a little bit at times, too. And then the softball field, it's in the same place as the current practice softball field, but of course this is going to be their new home softball field, so it'll have all the amenities they need, including bleachers and lighting and so forth. So that kind of gives you an idea of what Cravens looks like. And just to remind you, because some of you may have picked up already and said, wait a minute, we had some discussion here recently about maybe some additional parking. We had one of our students come, if you remember, and Kara did, and she asked about whether we could consider some additional parking over by the MAC. And so these plans were completed prior to that, and these were our plans that we submitted for permitting. Mr. Parkos is actually working with our contractor to add during bidding time some additional parking over there to see what we can get in the way of pricing for that and if we can bring that in budget. So that's Cravens, the schematic site drawing for Cravens. I'll move now to Wildman. Again, I'll kind of point the same things out, but you'll notice when I bring Glaspie back up in a minute, you saw the real life picture a minute ago, but I'll bring up the schematic for it and you'll be able to compare. These are very closely aligned. You've got your ticket booth there at the top, number 3, and then you've got in number 2 and number 4, you have concessions and restroom buildings there. Those would be, when we say concessions, those are the larger concession buildings. When we say vending, that's to serve more prepackaged items. So, in other words, there might be hot dogs and barbecue sandwiches served out of 2 and 4, and then if you go to 7 or 8, which are your dressing areas, they'll also have some capacity for serving what we call vending or prepackaged items, just bags of chips, sodas, candy bars, that sort of thing. Again, the bleacher systems are a little different than they will be at Glaspie and at Cravens, but the seat count is still the same. And then, of course, we have our new press box and as well. And then if you look over to the far left of the picture, you'll see the softball field. And so, and just like Lamar, everything there is new, all new bleachers, lighting, and such. So that's Wildman. And then lastly, and this one's the orientation is different, right? It's a long site, north to south. But, and there's a few other things we've added here as a part of this field addition, just to support some of the parking. But when you look at, for example, 1 is your new press box. 4 is, as I mentioned before, that in the lower left is where you have one of your dressing areas, your ticket booth. That's the main entry for the home side. 5 on the other side would be your primary entrance for your visitors, but that would just be a ticket area and a concession. When you go up to the north where it shows number 3, that would be the visitor dressing area. So you can see those are separate, whereas at Lamar they were in one and the same building. It'll also have some concession, and then 2 would be a vending building along with some ticketing and our dressing areas for our officials. And then of course we have our softball field just to the north of the current baseball field, and to support and be able to supplement our parking, for which we had to do just because of the way this site split up. Unlike at Cravens and Wildman, we have the bus parking noted up there at the far top where it says number 6. So that would be bus parking and possibly officials or some remote parking for coaches perhaps or something like that. So that's the comparison of any of the three, and I'd be happy to go back to any one of them you'd like if you have any questions. Other than that, I'm at the end of my presentation, and we can begin to talk next steps and any other discussion we have.
Thank you, Mr. Horn.
Yes, sir.
Comments and questions from the trustees? Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, Mr. Horn.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back to the last slide on Wildman.
On Wildman?
On Glassby Field.
Okay.
On item number 6 on the legend, you have new paving for bus parking. What percentage of that parking lot is going to be repaved?
On the larger parking lot, we're just doing some repairs, and we'll probably seal that entire parking lot. So we've got some areas that are damaged. We're also having to do some drainage that comes from that far west side and carries across our property. So we'll do some work to do that. So we'll bring that to a better state, and then in a future bond, it's slated for, once we get past all this work, we'll come back and we'll plan to replace that parking lot.
Are we going to finally address the 8-year-old giant pothole in that parking lot?
We will, yes, sir.
All right. In this phase or in that?
No, that'll be addressed in this. So that'll be part of the repairs. So we've identified a few. In fact, Mr. Parkos and I were out there last night to just see the progress at the stadium, and we were talking about that. We'll pick up some repairs in some of the key areas where we have vehicles stopping and turning. That's what generally breaks that down. We'll fix those, then we'll come back and we'll reseal the whole parking lot and restripe it.
Yeah, what's the timing on that?
That'll happen. It'll be later. We want to do a lot of that really more towards the summer, once we get some of this heavy truck traffic off and the student traffic off.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Other comments or questions from trustees? Ms. Richardson? Ms. Haynes?
Sorry, I didn't intend to ask a question, but then I was looking over at the vending for softball. I noticed it's labeled in one of your schematics. I'm not sure which one it was. It looks like Wildman is labeled, that it's going to share concessions or vending with baseballs. Is that what is happening on the other sites? Because looking at this one, it's not labeled for softball there?
Yeah, it varies. This one we're actually working to add an additional vending and restroom or vending facility to this one. Just like, so it depends on the site. Some of them we can support, they can share because we already have a site or a building there, and then some we don't. We anticipated initially sharing one here, but we've since figured that we can't.
Yeah, baseball's way down.
Right, so we're working on that as a separate piece.
So, but we are going to provide every softball addition an area for vending and restrooms?
Yes, ma'am, that's the intent, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. I had a question sort of similar to Ms. Haynes's question. I'm familiar with some of the facilities, and when you say vending, you gave a description of it, but and they're not big facilities, but they, in my mind, serve concessions.
That's right.
Are they still going to be? Can you go through that again? Because I feel like
certainly. So we have to classify them two different ways. One is either a concession building or one is a vending building, and that's just for code purposes. A concession building typically will have a 3-compartment sink in it, and it will support. It'll be a little larger. It may have some additional infrastructure in there to be able to support them then selling hot dogs or barbecue sandwiches, making popcorn, nachos, that sort of thing. And then a vending building would be one where we wouldn't necessarily have that. They may still be able to sell that, but they wouldn't be able to prepare it there. They might prepare it at the larger concession, take it over and just sell it out of that. But the vending buildings typically are just selling prepackaged foods, prepackaged candy bars and bags of chips and cold drinks and that sort of thing, bottles of water.
Okay. And I guess maybe a related question that might help me with it more is any of the facilities that are currently, in my mind, a concession facility that may in actuality be what you consider a vending facility, are they going to offer fewer services to patrons than they do now?
They don't have to. So it's more a restriction on us as a district and the way we manage the project as it's going through permitting to the city. The city will oftentimes, they won't have any problem if a booster club wants to put a grill out behind what we call a vending building and grill burgers or hot dogs. They can do that. It's just we're restricted when we start to prepare food or we build a building to prepare food, we have to build a different type of infrastructure. And it can get as complex as, say, our kitchens for Mr. Lewis. We've got to have 3 compartment sinks and ways to wash things differently, and we also have to have grease traps for those buildings. When it comes to vending and concession, we try to avoid having that really expensive infrastructure because we're really not preparing food like that. It is more grilling hot dogs and burgers and that sort of thing. So it's just about how we prepare food in them more than anything.
Okay, that explains it much better, because in my head, I'm thinking back at that Sam Houston concession building, which I'm very happy is being redone.
Yeah.
And I slung my fair share of hot dogs and burgers and nachos out of that building. So I was struggling there with the concept of it being a vending building. I do have a couple questions about the Glaspie, Wildman, Cravens trio. And you started out with the explanation of, and we had this discussion last year and the year before, that these are approximately going to be the same facilities.
Yes.
A question I do have, appreciating that there are some significant site challenges, I think especially with Cravens.
Yes, sir.
Being so close to the street. So I'll focus my questions more on, I guess, Wildman, but with some respect with both, but especially Wildman, it seems like, just looking at this, that they're not substantially similar to Glaspie. So we have the same amenities, but in my mind, it looks like we're just rebuilding the existing buildings at Wildman. I appreciate that the south end of the end zone field house is being taken out. It looks like splitting into 2 home visitors, where there currently are structures for very large restrooms and some storage facility. So there's more room at Wildman.
Right.
So what is driving the decision to not more closely mirror Wildman to the amenity facilities that are going to be available at Glaspie?
It's still about the footprint of the site, because Wildman, and these aren't the same scale either, so I apologize, but they're not the same scale. But with Wildman, it's still just like Cravens and Glaspie. Well, let me rephrase. Glaspie is technically considered the Martin campus. We're splitting it off, but the Wildman facility and the Cravens facility are separate. They're separate campuses apart from the high school, so to speak, and so they're platted separately. So we still have certain restrictions, and it's just a matter of, while they're not the exact same shape, they have their own unique kind of feel. We didn't take the same exact footprint that we did for the building, for example, at Glaspie, and mirror that at Wildman. Because primarily most of their traffic comes from the north side, or their visitor and home traffic, versus at Glaspie it's come from the south in that large parking lot there. So we kind of split the 2 off. But I guess is that your question, is why we didn't use exactly the same building footprint?
Yeah, or even sort of just the similar, like if you look at Glaspie, I mean, they've kind of got, it looks like to me, you've got these wraparound facilities with these concourses that are being developed that lead into the visitor and home side, and it's more of a large curved structures and concourses, and to me, Wildman looks, in my mind, looking at this, it's going to be the same Wildman with some new buildings.
You're correct, and a little bit of that's just to try to economize, just to try to make use of what we have, build new, but try to use what we have and the layout and so forth. But that is correct.
Okay. My understanding, your explanation to be that because the Wildman Cravens facilities are considered, they're separately platted, that we were not able to change overall site dimensions to
Which-
more closely mirror the Glassby concept?
Partly, we could do that. We certainly could have done that on these two sites. I agree with what you're saying. It's more just a matter of trying to utilize the structure. For example, on the bleachers for Wildman, we're going to take and replace all the bleacher material up on top, but we want to try to preserve a lot of the structural steel because of the cost element of that. Now, there's still going to be repairs. It's going to be refurbished and repainted and made to look new, but it saves us some money and allows us to put more money into other amenities on that particular site and mitigate some of the inflation.
Okay, and I appreciate that explanation, and I don't want this to come across as harsher than I'm going to
That's
say
okay.
it. But that was not my expectation when I had the discussion last year about how these three facilities would be substantially identical.
Okay.
Because if they are not the same visitor experience, and they are essentially, one is going to seem very new and very, have that experience coming in, and we've seen lots of the schematic designs, and we're essentially rebuilding, albeit new, we're rebuilding the other two. To me, that was not my expectation. And I do appreciate that we have site constraints and we have monetary constraints, but that is not what I envisioned. And so I don't know if anyone else up here shares that, and I'm not asking for that tonight. I'm just saying that myself.
Yes, sir.
So, having said that, that's all that I have.
Okay.
And I don't want that to detract from the work that's being done in any way.
Certainly.
All right. All right, Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I just have one question. If we can go back to the Martin slide. So I think if I recall correctly, I heard you talk about having to fix some drainage issues over
We
there by
did,
the
yes.
parking lot.
Yes, that's correct.
Those drainage issues, are they on AISD property, or where is that coming from?
They manifest themselves on our property, that's for sure. So it comes from the neighborhood to the west, and that water comes across our parking lot. And so we have to deal with that as part of the project. So it erodes, it's part of the issue of erosion on our parking lot that Mr. Wilbanks mentioned. So in order for us to correct that, we need to mitigate how that water flows across our parking lot. So it's just part of, as we've dealt with this on other projects when we apply for permit with the city, part of getting that permit or making that permit process go smoothly is we have to address certain issues with how we address stormwater, whether it initially comes from just our site or comes from off our site. There are times when we have to deal with that. So, and this is one of those times.
And is that typical?
It's typical, yes, sir. It's typical of the process that we've been working under during the time that I've been here, since 2015.
Let me rephrase my question. Is that typical in other school districts?
There's probably other school districts that do that too. The previous district I worked in, it was not that way. But I know I've talked to other of my colleagues around the state, and it just depends on the municipality that they work for or work with and work for as to whether or not they have to mitigate stormwater the way we do here.
And do you? I know you probably don't, or you probably do. Like, how much of an additional cost is that?
I'd have to pull that from our schedule of values. I don't have that right off the top of my head. I don't think this would be in the neighborhood of some of the numbers we've run into before, right. Such as what we did with, say, Crow or some of the new elementaries. But I could get that number, but I don't have it right off the top of my head.
And was this something that was anticipated, or was it something that came up during the rebuilding process?
It came up during the planning portion of it with this, when we were reviewing this project with the city. So we knew it was going to be an impact to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mike. Are there further comments or questions from trustees? All right, seeing none, Dr. Smith?
So, trustees, just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First, I want to thank Mr. Horn for the presentation tonight and talk about some next steps coming up. As you know, we've begun looking at where we are currently in the 2019 bond, and you get these reports on a pretty regular basis. And we are also in the phase now where we have to start thinking about the future as well. So while we continue to do the good work to close out the 2019 bond, I think it's appropriate that we also take some next steps and talk about our next steps moving forward with bond planning. So at our next meeting, we do anticipate having some additional information from our financial advisor about bond capacity for our school district and to begin conversations with you all about what the next phase of construction work in Arlington ISD should look like. Also on the consent agenda tonight, we have the ask to consider approval for our architect to begin our next round of facility assessment, so we get updated information on all of our facilities in the district after the 2019 bond and the impacts that 2019 bond has had. And also, honestly, the last time that facilities assessment was done was prior to that bond, so a number of years have passed since then. So my point being, in sharing some next steps, we're getting the ball rolling to open up some more discussions with our board about potential next steps for bond elections in Arlington ISD. We know that the investment in facilities matters for our community. The curb appeal of our facilities matters for our community, and the quality of education inside all of those facilities matters for our community. But we have to continuously work to put all of those things together so that we have the right product for our students, for our staff, and for our families in Arlington ISD. So I want to make sure that I mentioned that we're going to start taking some next steps in discussing bond planning for the future. There is no hard push for me to say it needs to happen at this time, but we need to begin the conversations of having a study group come together to form that next bond plan. And so I wanted to make sure I very publicly said that to you before our next meeting, and we will have some additional discussion items for you at the next meeting on all of this as well.
All right, Dr. Smith and Mr. Horn, thank you. All right, that concludes the report portion of our evening tonight. We have one item on our action agenda for tonight. That is to consider the approval of a turnaround plan for Sam Houston High School. And for that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith, Mr. Zahn, and Dr. Jarko, and Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, I don't need to introduce them. I'll let them all come on up. I do want to say, as they're working on this, we have some things in a school district that are compliance things. This is one of those things that we're talking about tonight and how we are complying with work that is required of us by TEA. The one thing that I don't want to get lost in this is I am extremely proud of the work that's been going on at Sam Houston High School far before I got here. Mr. Villarreal, I think, has done an outstanding job, and his leadership is well noted here, and I think you'll see some of that tonight in this turnaround plan. I'm very, again, this is a compliance piece, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to celebrate the work as well. We do some things because we have to, but I fully and wholeheartedly believe whether we needed to do this because of TEA or not, Juan's leadership would have been pushing Sam Houston forward no matter what, and I'm grateful for that. So, Jared.
All right. President Chapa, Dr. Smith, members of the board, thank you for letting me come and talk about Sam Houston High School and the turnaround plan, and echoing what Dr. Smith said. This is a kind of a requirement piece here, but I think it is an opportunity to highlight the trajectory at Sam Houston, the progress and the work that is happening at that campus. So it really is a positive thing to see the work that is taking place there. And so through this, we're really just going to provide you an overview of the turnaround plan process, because we haven't done that much here in Arlington. So we'll make sure you're familiar with that. Again, like we just said, give you an update on the progress and trajectory at Sam Houston behind just saying the word turnaround plan, and then just get request approval from you guys on the turnaround plan. So turnaround plans were in existence prior to COVID, but they've been on pause. So they just started back up this year. We got notification, and what constitutes a turnaround plan is when you have multiple years where you didn't exit your comprehensive support identification, which I had kind of presented on to you guys just a few months ago about those campuses with the target improvement plan. And the requirements for a turnaround plan are very similar to, like you saw, to the target improvement plans. It's having an ASF diagnostic, developing like a TIP or a TAP, and then working with TEA to see evidence of implementation monitoring. And then the one thing I didn't put in here was this is developing a TAP that would go in for 25-26 and 26-27 if we don't exit comprehensive support this year. So it's not something we're implementing late last year like the tip was when I presented you on that. This is riding for the next 2 years if we don't exit comprehensive support. All right, so the process itself is a fairly collaborative process. We, Dr. Jarko, myself, others in the district collaborate with Juan and his team to determine what's the focus area for the TAP, what is kind of the root cause that landed the comprehensive support and the path out of comprehensive support. And then it is working with his staff and leadership team to develop out the whole plan, action steps. They get feedback from parents, they get feedback from staff, they go back and revise it. Then we bring it to you guys, present it to you guys, and then ultimately we submit it to TEA for commissioner approval. So it is a very collaborative process, but it is grounded in data to what the root cause is. And hopefully that's really what you're going to see on this next slide. And I'm excited about this slide, but it is a lot of information. And in my head, where you can get in the weeds of stuff, so I'm trying to keep it at a good level that is easy to process, and happy to answer any questions as we dig into this a little bit. But first, I wanted you to know I did put the federal support label there just to remind you, because that is what gets you into a comprehensive support or a turnaround plan. So that's why I have where you can see the federal support label, and you can see when we went into comprehensive progress, when we were re-identified, and when we came back to comprehensive progress. Then the domain 3 data is there because that's the data that qualifies you for that federal support label. For federal accountability, they only look at domain 3. They don't look at domain 1, domain 2, or even your overall state rating. They just look at your domain 3 rating. And then the CCMR, when you saw our plan, we wrote it around the implementation and support of CCMR at Sam Houston. CCMR is 30% of the campus's overall domain 3 rating. So that's the highest percentage of impact on there. And you can see when they went into comprehensive support back in 2018, how low the percentage was of students attaining CCMR outcomes, CCMR point in there. So that was the biggest area where you improve this area. And you can see the correlation just very quickly when you go across as the CCMR percentage is going up, how the domain 3 percentage is going up. And the other key thing to understand, and I appreciate it, Sarah saying how CCMR is a lot of info to it and can be confusing. One of the key things to remember about CCMR is its lag data. You know, our student performance data, it's this year's, where the CCMR is always last year. So I know y'all understand that, but just for example, and I want to start with, like if you go down to 2023, where we had that 59%, well, that was really the year before. So that was the 2022 class who had 59% coming out of COVID, where we got that 59%. And then I'm pointing out that year because 2023 is really the year where I would say Sam Houston really identified comprehensive support as, not comprehensive support, CCMR as an area and a root cause, and started putting in strategic systems to address CCMR. And knowing its lag data lets you see that 2023 was when they really dug deep into this, and they resulted in a 74%, because that's the work of 23 resulted in that. Then they refined, like we do in education, everybody does. This is what we did. It worked well, but what can we do better? How can we improve these systems? And they achieved 84%, another 10% gain last year. And that 84% is what's going to be counted in their accountability this year. So they're already going to be working with a higher CCMR percentage this year. And then again, they revised their systems, made adjustments, and have actually one additional support staff to help with CCMR this year that they didn't have this year, but just continued refinement. And you can see that they're already right now beyond where they ended last year, because this 84% was when I had to submit the board slide deck, and they've moved forward since then. So they're already beyond this year where they were last year with these systems. So I was really hoping this would show you, and add to narrate because it's very, without putting a lot of words up there, there's too much to talk about, is you can see the progress that Sam Houston has made from 31% to 84%. And I know we sit up here and we talk about numbers a lot, right? And we're throwing numbers around. But the reminder is these are kids, right? These are kids who are getting a CCMR point and having opportunities to be success. after school and have opportunities moving forward. So it's really a credit to the whole team, Juan's leadership, but the team at Sam Houston and the work they're doing to improve these outcomes. And I think this also shows data to show you that where I indicated in the last meeting that these campuses are on a trajectory to move out of comprehensive support. Sam Houston's on a trajectory to move out of comprehensive. We're highly anticipating them moving out of comprehensive support where this TAP won't be monitored and implemented for TEA. And in that regard, I would also say, similar to, I think, what Dr. Smith's saying, they're doing the right work. Even if we don't have a TAP, they're going to do this work. We didn't make up these action steps and these work just for compliance for no reason. This is the work they're doing, and they're going to continue to revise and determine how to reach more kids, how to be proactive, how to increase CCMR outcomes in multiple areas. So this is the right work that Juan and I were talking before the board meeting, and he was already telling me plans that they're already adjusting right now, and they're already planning for next year. So this is the right work. Whether we talk to TEA about it or not, they're doing the right work. So y'all have seen the plan, but I did a very brief bullet right here of just some of the work, is that the turnaround plan was rooted in CCMR outcomes and just supporting students meeting those CCMR outcomes, and their systems on the campus to, one, know who the kids are proactively when they get there at a younger age and determining their pathways. And like I say, the systems really translate to students because then they can know where the kids are, talk to the kids, get them on that path to get that outcome. I hinted at earlier, they do have a CCMR facilitator over there and a CCMR clerk. They have staff who are dedicated to supporting this work, tightly monitor this work, and they're both doing a great job in helping lead this work, along with they have a highly functioning CCMR team at their campus that's represented with teachers and other administrators and counselors who all work together. It's a team effort over there. And then we also do have, it's not just the campus, we do have a district CCMR team who has representatives from all the departments I've listed there, the OSL representatives, Dr. Jarko and myself. We have post-secondary partnerships department, advanced academics department to address all these areas of CCMR because it does hit multiple areas. And we meet with the campuses side by side and hear from them. What are the supports they need? Where do they need support? And we also identify, hey, here's some hot spots. How can we help with this? And it's just a regular partnership with our district CCMR committee and then the campus's CCMR committees to help move this work forward. So that's really why we identified CCMR and how Sam Houston is getting these amazing results that are just continuing to move forward every year, and they're doing a great job with that. And finally, just want to remind, I know I've said it a couple times, just a reminder that this turnaround plan only happens if they don't exit comprehensive support this year, which we're anticipating them doing. So that's all the presentation. Open for any questions. And then if there's any questions that Dr. Jarko or Principal Villarreal is related to them, that's why they're here, for those aspects of the work.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zahn. Are there comments or questions from the trustees? Mr. Mike.
I'm on a roll tonight. Okay, so thank you for the presentation. I just want to say that Sam Houston High School was the first school that I visited as a trustee. And I had the opportunity to talk to Principal Villarreal at length. And, I mean, it's not shocking, right, that these percentages are the way they are and the turnaround that's occurring. But I also think that something that hasn't been mentioned, but has been mentioned in previous reports along with this, is the behavior change.
Right.
I really believe that there's something going on at Sam Houston that is changing the behavior of the students to allow them to focus on their goals to become successful young men and women. And I'm going to give up some of the details that we talked about, Principal Villarreal. But he talked about changing that behavior. Some of the things that other things that he's incorporated is every morning he's out there meeting the parents, meeting the students, making sure parking is good and where people drop the children off and pick them up, ensuring that children are not roaming the halls and they're in the classrooms, doing the work needed to be done to increase these percentages, and even alleviating some of the major behavioral issues with regards to any gangs or anything like that and fights. So I guess to wrap up what I'm saying is I think this is wonderful work, and data does not lie. And this data is showing that things are going well at Sam Houston, and I think it's going to be a continuing trend, which in turn, hopefully, will be replicated everywhere throughout the district. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Ms. McMurrow.
Thank you, Mr. Zahn. Thank you, Dr. V, for being here and for your leadership. Very quick testimony I wanted to share. My SLAB student, we all on the board have our students that we invite to be parts of various board events. They come to board meetings, they come to our trustee talks. We try to stay connected with them as much as we possibly can to see things through the student perspective, and they represent all of our high schools in the district. And my SLAB student for this year, Angeli, is a Sam Houston High School junior. And so recently she was able to walk the halls with me, and I asked her, you know, how are things going and what are your struggles? What are your challenges? And I really just have to tell you, Dr. V, and I never did get to tell you this, I really, you know, poked and prodded her and said, you know, tell me how it's really going. She only had positive things to say about her experience as a student at SAM. And Angeli was chosen to be on SLAB because she is a hardworking student. She's in student council, she's a class officer, she's in girls wrestling, she's so involved. And she is just one of the many students who is living out a great experience in her 4 years at SAM. And so it comes as no surprise to me to see this improvement in the data. And I do believe that, you know, just she and I, she would have confided in me a little bit in that conversation, but when she talks about her experiences at SAM, she just smiles. And I really appreciate anyone from the Sam Houston family, all the adults that help mold and shape our Sam Houston Texans every single day. I just want to say thank you, because it takes everyone. And the motto in the halls of Sam Houston, there are no strangers. I really feel like that is the heart of Sam. And so just please keep going. What y'all do for our students every day is remarkable, and it's great to see such strides. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McMurrow. Are there any other comments or questions from trustees? Ms. Richardson? None? Okay, well, I hope we don't need this plan. It looks like we're not going to need the plan. Ms. McMurrow very eloquently said what it's like to be from the SAM community. I'm from there, and I could go on at length about all the great things going on at SAM that I know about and have seen, not just in my life, but since then and happening now. It's a fantastic place with great students, and they succeed. So thank you for your presentation tonight. It is 9:23. We are going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back. All right, it is 9:30. We are back from recess. We did not take action on our action item, and so we will do that now. Is there any additional discussion on the turnaround plan for Sam Houston High School as presented? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the turnaround plan for Sam Houston High School as presented?
So,
I have a motion from Ms. Fowler.
second.
I have a second from Mr. Wilbanks. We will now proceed to vote. Ms. Richardson, I'll call for your vote separately. Trustees, please vote. Ms. Richardson, let me have your vote. Ms. Richardson, you are on mute.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. All trustees voting in the affirmative, the motion carries 7-0. Okay, we'll now move on to the consent agenda portion of our evening. Does anyone wish to pull any items for discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll now move to vote on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Wilbanks. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Ms. Fowler. There being a motion on the floor, I do want to just encourage Dr. Smith and staff to, based on the prior discussion I had on the Sam Houston and Lamar football stadiums to see what we can do on that We'll go ahead and approve the CMAR tonight, but I do wish for that to come back for further discussion in the future to see what we can do on that to make those facilities more aligned with maybe aesthetically.
Great.
Okay, we'll now move to vote. Trustees will now vote. Ms. Richardson, let me have your vote.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. All trustees voting in the affirmative. Consent agenda carries 7-0. All right, we'll now move on to our open forum for non-agenda items. Ms. Crossno, do we have any speakers registered for non-agenda tonight?
President Chapa, we do not.
All right, thank you, Ms. Crossno. Having no speakers for non-agenda, we'll move on now to our superintendent's comments. Dr. Smith.
Thank you, trustees. Thank you for your time this evening and for your hard work for the students of Arlington ISD. We appreciate you, and I get to talk about a few highlights tonight, but I often kind of get kicked off in the highlights, but I do want to spend a little bit of time talking tonight just about one of our priorities and some things that we've been diving into, because I think it's important for you as a board to know and for us to begin some dialogue about. And unfortunately, that's to talk about resources and some things from the federal level. What you see on this slide here is a comparison of the amount of funds that we have received from a federal funding level in the past 2 years. You see on the left-hand column the 23-24 school year, and you see in the right-hand column the 24-25 school year. I won't go line by line by all of these, but I do want to point out that we saw a decrease of approximately $4 million in between those 2 years. We hear about things like the Department of Education going away and move to block grants and different things happening at the federal level. And we're also talking specifically about things like House Bill 2 and the passage of House Bill 2 out of committee today to talk about finance in the state of Texas. I do think it's important for us to also make sure that we're constantly talking about the financial status of the school district. Our board has done a really good job over a number of years. Previous superintendent administration did a very good job over a number of years of managing funds for the school district to put us in a good position. But when you take a $4 million hit in federal funding over the course of the year, we don't talk about that much publicly, but we have to eat those costs because the dollar amounts that you see here that were decreased often go to the students most in need. Title I often goes to students who are in the most poverty. We have students that receive federal funds in special education services that you know, and we've talked on a regular basis about the amount of general funds that we as a school district put into special education in order to meet the needs of the students in our school district and go above and beyond what we receive from a federal and state level. It's also important to note that the state government, the state legislature, has not funded special education accordingly over the past 2 years. And in fact, they had that study 2 years ago that showed that we were underfunded in the state of Texas by approximately $2.2 billion in serving our students with special needs. So when we know that we're not getting funding on the state level and we see a decrease in funding at the federal level, Arlington ISD has continued to step into the gap to provide the right resources for students. But it is important for us to talk about those resources with our legislators and with our community, because eventually we're going to be between a rock and a hard place on some of these things. And again, these federal dollars that you see here, we received a $4 million decrease in the last year, and we don't know what changes the current administration is planning for federal funding moving forward. And I think it's going to be extremely important for us as a team of 8 and a team of 15 or so with our cabinet members to keep an eye on federal legislation, because maybe we didn't need to look at it as much in the past, but it's obvious that we need to keep this on our horizon for the future. That being said, I get to have some conversations about some amazing things that have been happening in Arlington ISD. First, I want to thank our Board of Trustees for your effort to continue to talk about, advocate for, and make our position known in Arlington ISD with our legislators. This is our second visit that we've had. You can go down to Austin to visit the Capitol and visit with people. But today, actually, President Chapa and Ms. Darla Moss went down today to testify as well, and you can see those pictures in the bottom right-hand corner. And so we're extremely grateful for them. I think it's really important for us to continue to feel a presence in Austin. We need to remember our legislators are often in that pink building down in the middle of Austin talking on a regular basis, but the important thing is that they remember that they're representing our community here. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your continued work to share the needs of our school district, but also to prioritize our student needs in all of this as well. Have you ever wished you could eat the food you saw in a movie? The audience at the first Fork and Film event at the CTC didn't have to wish. Guests at the event watched the film The Princess and the Frog while culinary and hospitality students prepared and served food inspired by the movie with dishes like jambalaya, gumbo, and king cake. When beignets appeared in the film, student servers rushed across the room to serve warm beignets. It was such a success and great learning opportunity for students that they plan to make this an annual tradition. Last month, the Martin High School Robo team traveled to Sarasota, Florida to compete in the 2025 Robo Boat International Competition, where teams take on real-world maritime challenges. Each team must design and build their own autonomous boat. Martin was the only high school competing with colleges like MIT, Cornell, Michigan, Baylor, and many others. I'm sure Arizona State was in the middle of that as well. Martin's team and their boat, named Bruce, did great, and they're already looking forward to next year. That's not the only unique competition Arlington ISD students competed in recently. Arlington High School hosted the second annual Arlington ISD Trades Competition, an event where students in the district's construction pathway put their skills to test in the hands-on build-off. Not the hands-off build-off, but the hands-on build-off. Students had to build picnic tables and doghouses and were judged for best teamwork, best foreman, and best overall build. On the topic of competitions, one of our students is heading to Chicago for a national free throw shooting competition. Connor Shingleton from Hill Elementary placed first in the 8 to 9 boys division at the 2025 Texas Elks State Association Hoop Shoot Free Throw Contest. That is a long title. He made 22 out of 25 free throws to earn the right to represent Texas in Chicago. Congratulations, Connor. Thank you to Arlington Mayor Jim Ross for visiting Workman Junior High recently to speak to the school's Leadership Club students. Mayor Ross talked to the students about what it means to be a leader, along with key initiatives in the city of Arlington. Ross explained to students that a leader is someone who is passionate about helping others. Our district continues to be passionate about preparing students for the future, and that's why we hosted the annual College and Career Expo at the CTC last month. Hundreds of junior high and high school students got to explore college, military, and career pathways all in one place. I'll wrap up with the cutest science fair in history. Pre-K students from every Arlington ISD elementary school got to show off their STEM projects at Arlington ISD's first annual Pre-K STEM fair last week at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts. After showing off their projects, the little scientists enjoyed a special science show put on by the DFW Mad Science in the CVPA Theater. That concludes my report for the night.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Do we have trustees with reports tonight? I have Ms. Fowler. Well, hold on just one second. I hit the wrong button. Ms. Fowler.
Thank you, President Chapa. Well, a few weeks ago, Trustee Larry, Mike, and I were invited to Wood Elementary by Assistant Principal Ricky Andrews, and I got to read the kindergarten students, and the students were in Mrs. Romero, Ms. Rogers, Miss Agnello, and Miss Stickler's classes, and they were incredible kids. They listened, they participated, they were so well behaved, and then they even sent me thank yous that they all put their names on. And I was just so impressed with that group of kids. So thank you, Miss Andrews, for inviting Larry, Mike, and I to come read. I wanted to give a shout out to Martin High School. Their German, the students that are taking German as their foreign language won 4th place in the whole state competition, 4th place. And they're under the direction of Miss Andrea Bonner. They had 12 students who placed very well in all the different categories of the competition. And Ms. McMurrow will love this. The competition was held at Texas State University. And these 12 students spent hours and hours and hours of their own time preparing for this competition. And I also want to thank Ms. Bonner for all the time that she put into that. But a huge congratulations for them winning 4th out of the whole entire state. I'm just so pleased with that. And the last thing is I wanted to make sure that everyone in the community knows about the fantastic AISD natatorium. And we built that with the support of the 2014 bond at a cost of $40 million. It is an incredible facility. And I know that people probably know that the high school students can be on the swim team and take swimming as their sport. But what a lot of people don't know is the junior high kids are also eligible to take swimming as their sport. And I think that we need to make sure that more people in the community know that, because it's a fantastic sport in a beautiful facility. And I want to encourage our junior high kids to check out possibly doing the swimming as their sport. And so, yeah, I want to invite the students and parents and the community to go and look at our natatorium and enjoy that facility because it is open to them. But I especially want to push for our junior high kids to know that that can be their sport as well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fowler. We'll go to Mr. Wilbanks.
Thank you, President Chapa. And I do want to tag on to what Ms. Fowler said. Our natatorium is amazing, and I encourage anyone to go by at 6:30 in the morning and see the parking lot full. We have our own competitive swim club for that competes with some of the top swim programs in the state. And not only that, another thing most people don't realize is that we have a water safety program for our third graders that's literally saving lives. A lot of our students are economically disadvantaged and don't have access to a pool or water safety classes taught through the YMCA. We provide those to our students, saving lives. So thank you, Ms. Fowler, for pointing out such a great facility and a huge asset to our students and to the community. I do have a report. Saturday was one of the best days of the year in my book. It was opening day for the Miracle League Arlington. For 20 years now, Miracle League Arlington has given the children and young adults with different abilities the opportunity to play baseball. Thank you to the Miracle League for removing the barriers and encouraging the community to support the best sport of them all, baseball. I also want to shout out to Mindy Schutte, who is taking on the role of executive director seamlessly. And I think it was a great opening day. It was packed. All the fields were packed. Miss Haynes and her son, Ryder, were there at 9:30 in the morning, volunteering, helping set up. And a lot of our community members were there. Shout out to also David Cook and Tony Tinderholt, who read a proclamation for the 20th anniversary. And I also want to do a shout out to my good buddy, John Cotreau, who over the 20 years has coached, I think, about all 20 years since the Miracle League was started. So there's a lot of dedicated folks who give back to a very needy cause and instills the love of baseball for all people here in Arlington. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. We'll now move to Ms. Haynes.
Perfect. I'm waiting to see what pictures Spence puts up first, so I know what I'm talking about first.
Oh, it's you.
Oh. Am I talking about golf first? Yes, okay. So this week our district hosted the district golf tournament for the girls and boys teams. Over 2 days they played 36 holes of golf, which is pretty mentally and physically draining. Martin walked away district champs for the girls. with Lamar a very close second and Sam Houston coming in a very close third. So that was pretty incredible for the SAM program. They have really grown over the years. The boys, Lamar came out on top as district champs with Martin Team 1 second and Martin Team 2 third. Individually, Lamar took away both individual spots. Sophia was top female golfer for our district, and Matthew was top male golfer, shooting a 65 today, which is like wild, like absolutely wild. So super impressive watching them play. I want to thank the coaches, not from golf. They do this day in and day out, but the coaches from all the other sports that showed up to support the tournament and to cheer these players on. Golf is typically an under-celebrated sport, and they play during the school day, so they don't get spectators out there cheering them on. So it was refreshing when I was out there to see coaches from various sports and to see Principal Maroney out there live streaming from the tee box and celebrating her Lady Vikings. That was pretty fantastic. And I want to thank Spence for showing up and photographing this sport. Yeah, my daughter has played for 4 years and no one has ever showed up to take pictures of these athletes. So thank you for celebrating them, and good luck to Martin and Lamar at regionals. Okay. This is my favorite. Yes, I did. It's my favorite. So I think last week I had the honor of surprising, as you can see by the picture, Trustee Fowler with a PTA Extended Service Award at our Council of PTA's Founders Day. So this celebration honors volunteers and stakeholders from across our district who have invested their time in supporting the mission of PTA. We celebrated all lifetime winners and extended service winners and our very own Melody Fowler. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Haynes. We'll now go to Mr. Mike, and I understand that Ms. Richardson will be joining in during a portion of your report, Mr. Mike.
He's like, oh,
No, I'm just waiting for pictures. Oh, there we go. So, we'll talk about Swift Elementary. Ms. Richardson and I visited Swift Elementary and spoke with Principal Lopez and toured the school. And I will tell you that Principal Lopez is very, very happy with the staff that he has and the teachers that he has. And he probably spent 95% of the time bragging on his teachers. And so I just want to call out some names of the teachers that he talked about. One is Robert, I'm going to say his last name wrong, Honstein, first-year teacher. He has a class where even experienced teachers would find it difficult to work with, but he is making progress each and every day with reading with these children. And you could see the progress was evident when normally you walk into class and there's elementary students, they're going to look and see who's walking in. Mm-hmm. They were focused on their materials. Wow. Like it was, I don't know, it was just amazing. I'm like something, and he's like 22 years old. Yeah. So something that he is doing that is able to reach those children, it just says a lot of him developing his craft. Another one is Brittany Wolf. She was a TA. And then she came back as a certified teacher, and she's teaching there. And we visited her class, and it's the same thing. Students locked in on learning their work. You have Riley Loveland, second-year teacher, Miss Boyd from 5th grade, Mr. Harmon, who is a more seasoned teacher. He's a grandpa. Like he has grandkids. Yeah, it's not... I mean, he has a sign that says grandpa. But even he, the way that he's teaching the children and watching and seeing how they interacted with him, you can see the great staff that was put together. Mr. Lopez even bragged on his custodian. And if you know Swift Elementary is an older elementary, but it's very clean. And so you have custodians there that take pride in their work because they know that it affects the children in their daily interactions. visiting Miss Baxter, the music teacher, which was one of the funnest classes because they were dancing and singing, and yeah, it was just great. One of the things that Mr. Lopez pointed out was their mission and vision statement. It was very simple. It stated, "We treat every child as our own, and we are good people who develop good people." And they are living that each and every day. One other factor, and I think goes to Dr. Smith's point with regards to funding, that when you see the impact. Swift Elementary, they've got a lot of children who go to the Arlington Life Shelter and Salvation Army. There are a lot of sheltered children. They have 88 to 89% echo dis, and 24% of their campus is very mobile. And they're doing their best, like every single teacher in this district, to not only try to help these children attain the goals that we want them to achieve, but also to take care of any behaviors, any of their outside needs. And at this school, they have some great parental involvement. And as you know, funding is a challenge, and principals and schools and even the district are trying to figure out ways to balance that budget with also trying to get the things that they need. And for Mr. Lopez, one thing that he said was just he has to always have is that family engagement liaison, because he believes family, or the term, it takes a village to raise a child, that is what is important for his school to ensure that there is growth. So this is one of the schools that we visited, and very happy to see the great work that's going on, and it's kudos to Swift Elementary.
Thanks, Larry. I enjoyed, I'm going to go back to Swift for just a minute. Personally, for me, Swift is really special just because with my day job being the youth and children's minister at Westminster Presbyterian, this is our neighborhood school. This is who we sponsor. This is who we go over and do Hot Dog Howdy Week with and volunteer. And so it was nice to be on that campus in a different capacity, in a different role as a trustee, but enjoyed getting to see them. We want to go back to AVID. I was invited to go see a display class that happened between our AVID and P-TECH programs to Grand Prairie and Richardson ISD. Our AVID program went out and did a class, a session at the Summer Institute that they're a part of. Richardson and Grand Prairie were so impressed that they asked to come and have an in-depth little seminar. And so they took half a day on Friday to do this. The reason I was blown away, we have the Melody Drake, the AVID coordinator. We have Terry Williams, who's the P-TECH assistant principal. Mrs. Hudson is their counselor. And we have the tutor, Carla Hill. Here's the thing. They have made it where their P-TECH program, which is cybersecurity and business, is completely merged with AVID, because their theme is, it just makes sense. If you are already teaching kids, here's what you need for jobs, here's what you need to do for your next step, then AVID goes hand in hand with it. And how do you keep those together and make your program even better? It was amazing. We got to go into Coach Williamson's class. He was wonderful. He is a Lamar graduate and has actually been recruited to come back and to coach and teach now. And he believes so much in the AVID program, he doesn't want to do anything else. Enjoyed getting to go into his class. We also went into Dr. Miller's class. Dr. Jennifer Miller is incredible. She is a former professor of UTA that left higher education to come and teach specifically at Lamar, and that is where she wants to be. She also has created a clothing closet for our students, so when they go on job interviews, they can dress up and have the right attire to obtain the job that they're looking for. They have thought of everything here. And when I tell you everything, trustees, what I'm saying is everything. They told me the story about a student who had a scholarship to college. They bumped into him that fall and said, how's school? And the student said, well, I didn't end up going. Well, why didn't you go? Oh, well, you see, I didn't have my second set of shots that I needed, my second set of vaccines that I needed for college, and he was not able to go. They now bring somebody from Tarrant County in to make sure that everybody has everything they need for college, whether it be health, whether it have to be their incoming, their course fees paid. whatever they need. They want to make sure that nothing stands in the way of them going on to higher education and to make sure that AISD is a part of it. So I was very, very thankful to Mrs. Drake. Got to meet Coach Skinner, and small world opening day baseball. They were having a hot dog cookout. So, oh darn, I had to stay and have hot dogs with them and get to celebrate that a little bit. Lastly, I was invited to Owsley Junior High. They do a parent-family picnic. When I tell you that it was packed, they did 4 different lunches, and it was standing room only. These parents, these friends, these family members, they showed up big. Their theme is out of this world. Do you see in the bottom left-hand corner? That really is a teacher with ET on a bike with her basket. It was amazing. Boys and Girls Club were there, and they brought lunch in for students who maybe wouldn't have friends or family come eat with them, and made sure that those students were still celebrated and taken care of. I was so happy to be there with Principal Amber Price, Keisha Edwards, Mrs. Mara's assistant principal, and then of course, Nisha Price Marshall is the counselor who invited me to come, asked me to bring Cream Puff, the bearded dragon, so we got to spend an afternoon that really was out of this world with Owsley Junior High. The best part was, as I talked to everybody about, this is crazy, this is a Friday, it's in the middle of the day, this parent involvement is insane. How is everyone here? And they all talked about the culture. Parents said they wouldn't miss it for anything. Grandparents came up. They wouldn't miss it for anything. The teachers, people who said they've been there for 15 years, every time they kept coming back to, we are here because of the culture that's been created.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Richardson and Mr. Mike. I have a report tonight. Every year, one of the best things we get to do in March is celebrate all of our Teachers of the Year, and that is put on by the Kiwanis Club, and we're graciously hosted at First United Methodist Church, and this year we enjoyed a great lunch from David's Barbecue. And I think there's a photo of the 3 finalists who were selected as the district-wide Teachers of the Year, but the event celebrates Teachers of the Year from every campus. And so you don't see those photos coming up, but I just want to say thank you to the Kiwanis Club and to First United Methodist Church and everything that they do. And also, wouldn't want to forget EECU. Credit Union also gives an award to each recipient, a cash reward, which I know that they appreciate. And along with this year, there were 9 teachers who received special recognition as well, 5 from the elementary level, 2 from the junior high. Here we go. And 2 from the high school level. Those are the special recognition recipients. Each one of them also got a cash award as well. And so we have great things going on each one of our campuses. We can't do that without our teachers, and it's always an honor to recognize the Teachers of the Year from each campus in our district. And that concludes my report. All right. Ms. Secretary, do we have anything on the Secretary's report this evening?
The only thing we have on the Secretary's report is that President Chapa would like us to circle back to discussions about the football fields and making sure that we relook at Gillespie, Wildman, and Cravens, and to see what we can do to make sure aesthetically that they are comparable in design and look as what we first discussed and proposed to the voters.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Secretary. All items on tonight's agenda have been addressed. We have no other matters to discuss, no new business, and there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 10 o'clock.